Welcome, one and all, to yet another episode of WIC TV. It's a cross-ideological space where we come together to talk about issues both political and cultural, from the silly to the serious. Tonight, we have a very important question at hand, the Hassan question, with more and more mixed media attention being given to Hassan Piker. A fierce debate has erupted within liberal and progressive circles. What should be done about Hassan? Should we embrace him, try and appeal to his audience, win it over? Should we simply ignore him, let him do his thing, and we do ours? Is he radioactive? Should we shun him? Should we push him and those with him out of the party? Should Democratic political hopefuls work with him to get elected? Tonight, we debate. We got Soypill coming in a minute. He should be in here any minute, and I'll pull him in. But yeah, I guess that's the question. What do we do about Hassan? What are your thoughts, gang?
What do we do about Hassan?
Yeah, as liberals, as political as people who are politically active, who want to see Democrats succeed, what do we do?
I think pretty much what's happening right now is what needs to happen. He needs to be, I think, just exposing people for who they are is probably the best medicine for this stuff. Like, people want to role play as if they are someone that they aren't, and just showing that that's not the case. And the best way is using their own words and putting that stuff out there is probably the best move that you can do. Just let their own words speak for them, and then show that they are not an ally, that they are it's like a spy from Team Fortress 2, but it's on your team and stabbing you in the back. And how can you possibly win when you have someone like that just running amok? So yeah, that's my thought on it, is just exposing kind of the anti-democrat, anti-party lines from someone.
Are we worried
like
that distracts from winning against MAGA? Well, I guess, who do you think's the greater threat right now to the Democratic Party, MAGA or Hassan?
If anything, the MAGA is helping the Democratic Party right now by being so fucking stupid constantly. So
you mean Hassan and his group?
Oh no, I meant MAGA.
Wait,
like MAGA being so
never
stupid
mind. You're
right
right.
now?
I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. I'm canceling myself. Never mind.
Good.
Fuck you.
It's okay.
True.
Ryan, welcome to the show. Oh, and then we got our friend Soypill. Let me bring him on. Soypill, who's a bigger threat to the Democrats? Hassan or MAGA? Oh, we can't hear you.
No mic.
Great start, gang. Wonderful time.
Wow, this guy. He's trolling you intentionally.
Is it always like this, Wick?
You know, I think that he might be a Hassan plant at this point. Possible.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Cool.
Were you able to hear the question, or do you need me to repeat it, sir?
Repeat it for my sake.
Sure. Who is currently a greater threat to the Democratic Party, MAGA or Hassan, and why?
MAGA, just obviously. I mean, they're the ones with all the power. They're the ones subverting the Democratic Party. They're destroying the country. Hassan, no matter what you think his intentions are, is just not even close to the amount of leverage that MAGA has and power that MAGA has. I think anyone arguing otherwise has Hassan derangement syndrome.
Is that true, Mooten? Do you have Hassan derangement syndrome?
I don't think I have Hassan derangement syndrome. Everything that MAGA's doing right now is helping the Democratic Party. I mean, they're doing just the dumbest fucking things constantly, and Democrats are at an all-time fucking high right now because they're being retarded. The Strait of Hormuz, the whole shit in Iran, it is wildly unpopular, and that is what MAGA is pushing and doing right now. They're under Trump's pretty much direct order, and they're following every one of his whims.
I feel like we should clarify, because I think we're taking this in different ways. My guess is, like, in terms of like who's doing more harm to the Democratic Party, it sounded like Soypill's answer was like MAGA's obviously and clearly doing more harm to the entire country and like Democrats in general and like Republicans, like all the citizens. But in terms of a question of like who's doing more specific harm to like the Democratic Party, I think it's a bit different. I feel like there's two different kind of ways that you can read that question.
Yeah, we're not talking about like democracy, right? We're just talking about like the party. which I would say Hassan is doing more harm technically. And MAGA is actually kind of helping out right now by eating itself.
I think this is like bearing the lead where it's like, well, if the people who have ideals that are completely antithetical and want to subvert the Democratic Party, and specifically I'm talking about MAGA in that sense, I know that can apply to both, are doing a bad job, then therefore they're less harmful. Like maybe in the ultimate sense, because they're doing a bad job, they'll help us win the midterms. But I don't think this is, it depends like why you're measuring this, how you're measuring this. Like very clearly, it's not phrased in such a way that you would think, oh yeah, like MAGA is good for the Democrats. It's, oh, MAGA's awful and that's why we're succeeding. I think that's not really a good way of framing it. Also, is this like the beginning? Have we given intros? I'm sorry I'm late, but
No, we're not. Like I just wanted to kind of get into it. We're talking about the Hassan question. What should we do about Hassan? Should we work with him? Under what conditions? All these things. And I'm trying to spark discussion so you guys actually talk instead of just kind of sit there and stare at each other the whole time.
I'll jump in.
When do WIC panels result in people just sitting there saying nothing?
You know
Yeah,
what?
really.
I'm always worried at the back of my head that will happen. Okay, so I like to get to throw some wedges in there and try to get some disagreement going. So
I want to bring like a different perspective than I've heard in these panels before, and I mentioned this to Ryan and to Soybill before, but the like lower echelon of political influencers and like the bottom echelon of political influencers, people who are like organizing on a local level, people who are working for their local Democratic Party, they don't have the freedom of choice that people like you guys have. I cannot avoid my tankies. I have to work with them because they're in my neighborhood, they're in my locality, they're in my county, they vote for my city councilman, and I have a constant problem, right, where I'm a local political organizer and I'm casting a really wide net and I'm trying to bring in as many like disengaged, low information voters to events and to elections as I possibly can, and I'm messaging to them and I'm trying to get them to come back, and inevitably a tanky disrupts this. They're just out there. They're just everywhere. I fucking hate them. And so like something that I think is really valuable as someone that like consumes a lot of political streamer media and like political influencer media is watching people like Steven go head to head with people who are on our far left and be a model of what their arguments are and what and like how to respond to those arguments, and giving like an example for people like me of what exactly is the right thing to do when you're like confronted with these people who have noxious, like emotivist arguments that regular low information, like left leaning people are very susceptible to, right? And so I think that like I advocate for direct engagement with the far left in y'all's upper like influencer echelon, because it's something that is informative for people like me and helpful for people like me. Otherwise, I wouldn't really have good examples of what to do in those fucking scenarios.
when we say engagement, what do we mean, right? I don't think, well, is anyone here against engaging with Hassan in any capacity?
I don't think, no.
I think Hassan's against us engaging with Hassan.
True.
Fair. I mean, I did invite him on this panel. He didn't get back to me.
He's a
What,
pussy
didn't
ass
get back to
bitch.
you?
Didn't get back to me.
Shocking. What?
well, yeah. Does anyone think that Hassan should be on the platforming Hassan panel?
Yes.
Obviously.
I think you should be here.
Yeah.
Where is his ass?
But I guess my concern, right, because you say you can't avoid these tankies and you have to work with them. I don't know if that's true, right? I've seen what happens when these people get in positions of influence and power. Just a few hours ago, I believe, Progressive Victory tweeted, right, and I worked with them to my everlasting shame. They tweeted that they were trying to overthrow the Democratic Party, right? That was their goal. And so I worry that when we bring people in who are on these far left fringes, who are sympathetic to people like Hassan, they're not here to help us win. They're here to kind of subvert us as a party.
I agree with that. But like as a like in a local sense, I can't say, okay, you fucking tanky, get the fuck out of my
Why not?
goddamn conference hall, my community center, because I lose regular libs that way. I lose them. They see me being a dick and not dealing with it's like the reverse of streamer world, right? Where in streamer world, it's the correct thing to be like, nope, shut the fuck up. Your argument's retarded. Don't come in this space. We don't want you here. I can't stop them from walking into the community center that I rent. And if I am adversarial instead of granular, with arguments and with like patience, I lose everybody in that room.
Is it because you're seen like as like a bully kind of in that
Yeah.
room? And
And like I'm intolerant. And so whenever I have to deal with tankies in my like local Democrat recruiting events, I have to be like, yeah, oh yeah, I understand what you're saying, but like, what about X? What about Y? How does that relate to A? How does that relate to B? Like I have to do like leading questions and like make them announce to the room that they think that the abolishment of private property is a good idea. And that kind of and like I have to do a lot of like emotional manipulation to get them to announce to the room that they're fucking retarded.
that makes sense.
I think
mean,
that's an
yeah.
interesting point. Whenever I went to the No Kings protest in my town in Fort Worth, Texas, there was a table with a couple anarchists that had set up a panel, a table. They were decked out in the full, tactical type stuff, and like, I don't know, would it have made things better to make a mess and kick them out? Like, would it have made things better? I'm not sure.
I think that when you're talking about fighting against certain groups of people, there are different levels that you can have that fight. By the time you're at the local level, it's kind of at that point, it is what it is. Like if you have 50 people showing up and 35 of them are socialists or tankies or whatever, I mean, like at least in the short term, you're probably more ideologically aligned with them than the Conservative Party right now. So you either work with them or you just basically disconnect from politics. So I feel like once it's kind of like distilled itself down to that level, that's where you're at, But I think that's like a fundamentally different question than how do you engage with people online, or how do you set the tone from how you approach them rhetorically or ideologically. Like I think there's all kind of like different levels of how you engage with it.
I guess, are we not engaging with Hassan because of his offensive, bigoted statements, or are we not engaging with Hassan because he's a Marxist?
No,
Well, I think we're all
not
happy
engaging
to
with him 'cause he's
engage.
chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I think
we're not wanting to work with them in a happy way.
Yeah,
he won't even vote for the Democratic candidate. So why would you want to work with him? Go ahead, Steve.
No, yeah.
Yeah. I think when we talk
Sorry.
about
One
when we
time.
talk
Go
about like
ahead.
engaging with people, I think it has to be like what kind of engagement are we talking about? Nobody has any like I don't think anybody would be opposed to people going on people's shows to try to convert their audience or to have like like a friendly back and forth even maybe. It's just the idea of trying to sell these people as being on the same team as us when I think it should be painfully obvious at this point that they're not at all on the same team.
Last year, did you see the panel that Hassan was on with like Tim Miller and Jessica Tarlov and stuff? Would you say that was like good or bad?
I think it was good.
Okay. I don't know how much we're going to disagree then, because I thought that was like a very good model of like how to engage with Hassan.
Yeah, but it was pretty adversarial.
Yeah, that's
but
fine.
That's not usually
but they mostly
about. Usually
agreed.
It's like
I rewatched it today, like in preparation for this, because I remembered it being all right. And they argued, Tim was pushing back on Hassan, saying, Dems needed to be, X, Y, and Z in order to get the left to vote for Democrats. And, Hassan gave his take. But ultimately, they were talking about how great the elections that had just happened, like right before, how great that was. And they were talking about Democrats. Like I thought that was a fine model. And if I had the chance to engage with Hassan in an environment like that, I think I'd be a fool to pass it up.
Yeah, I think I'd have to go back and I guess and rewatch the totality of it. The only fear that I have is that when people like Hassan are going on these platforms, he is openly saying, like he said, that like he's mask on, and the goal for his presentation on these platforms is to, I guess, basically get more attention on himself. And I think his audience kind of like knows this, and then the goal is to whatever further audience he grows from that is to convert them away from kind of like liberalism broadly into like a more radical pipeline. So like at best, like Hassan is not creating Democratic voters. Nobody on the right is being converted into a Democrat from Hassan. He might grab some people from the very, very far right and turn them into like tankies or socialists, but Hassan is not converting manosphere people or anybody else like MAGA people into Democrats. So
why do you think that? Sorry, my bad. No, why do you think that, like, for instance, you couldn't convert a Hassan viewer into someone that supports the Democratic Party? Like, I have people in my community that used to be more hardcore socialists and are now, they vote for the Democratic Party. They might hold socialist views still, but they vote for Democrats. They're no longer
Was that what he was
black-pilled.
saying? I thought he was
He's saying
talking.
Hassan doesn't do this.
He was saying Hassan can't move a
No,
conservative to him.
That's
He's saying, why can't I convert Hassan's audience? You
yeah.
can,
Why
but
can't
it's
you
hard.
convert Hassan's audience?
It's hard, but the reason why it's so difficult is because the game is not equal. There are infinite numbers of liberals that will run the most hardcore defense for the socialists, and then on the socialist side, they will just openly and unabashedly try to fucking destroy every liberal they come across. I think it was Hassan and Mike from PA, and I don't know if it was FT Signify or some other guy. They were like ranking like the worst like right-wing people, and they put me as like S rank for like most right-wing person. Like this is like, you're just like unhinged. I know that's just personal to me, but like you see this time and time and time again where the socialists are constantly shitting on and attacking the liberals. And I don't know how you're supposed to convert people in that environment. Like look at the Kyle Kalinskis and everybody right now crying so much about like, why are we attacking the far left, guys? We got to go after MAGA. Why are we attacking the far left? And it's like, we were all saying that around the election season. You guys are just saying that now to get heat off of you. But come election season, you guys are going to be attacking the liberals again. And mark my words, it will happen. Like
one of the frustrations I have with this whole conversation, right, is we as liberals, right, as more liberal-leaning people, we are having this conversation and having this argument amongst ourselves is how much should we tolerate far-left influence or how much should we work with them? The far left isn't having this discussion. They're not arguing whether or not they should work with the liberals or
Well,
they
yeah, they
should
are.
accept
That's
liberals into their
that's not true.
fold.
Look, that's not true. Hassan and the lefties, are shitting on each other's audiences, discussing whether or not they should support Kat Abu Ghazala for her comments on Taiwan and whether or not that splits the progressive vote. Like, this is also a conversation that happens in left-wing circles, and the idea that it doesn't is absurd.
Well, that's
well, no,
more
no,
of
but
a-
they're not talking about They're not talking about working with liberals. They're talking about supporting a particular liberal candidate there. The fact that they're even
That's
having
working
that
with
debate.
liberals.
No, the fact that they're even
That's
having
literally
that
what
debate,
that means. What do you mean?
they're not saying should we participate in the Democratic primary or not. They're arguing about which candidate they should support.
That's participating in the Democratic primary. Which candidate do I support? What do you mean?
They're allowed to support
Well, no,
Kat Abu
yeah,
Ghazala.
they are supporting it. That's why I'm saying they're not having an argument about whether or not, like, they want to be in this like the Democratic Party, like trying to fight with and convert and do all that. Like that is their position is to be a part of this and then to try to like flip it and convert it and turn it into like a more socialist
they're arguing
party
about
basically.
how.
Right, and they're doing what we're doing right now, which is should we excise Kat Abu Ghazala from the leftist movement because she said something about Taiwan we don't agree with? And the answer is to at least what Hassan said to his audience is absolutely not.
They're
You're splitting
trying
the
to figure
progressive
out
vote
if
and you
she's
can't purity test
liberal,
on this.
and if she is, they want to excise her.
Yes, and then they're arguing about whether or not that's a good thing to do and if that causes them to lose power, which is what we are doing right now with Hassan, right? So the idea that these conversations don't happen on the left is absurd.
Well, but also the point on whether or not like we would excise anybody just comes down to broadly like would you support the party in the general election?
Why is that? No, it doesn't, because we're talking about who to support in different elections. This is like kind of the whole point of the conversation. Obviously, there are moments where it's like, hey, look, like Hassan's going to be a dipshit and tell his audience that it doesn't matter in the general election. But now that becomes a conversation of, okay, then what extent are we willing to work with him? You said, okay, you can do the Tim Miller thing. You can have him on. You can be adversarial. But you kind of gave me some flack for doing the PV panel. And in my view, this is supporting candidates that probably to some extent you might agree with. Some of them you wouldn't, and I wouldn't, and probably agree on probably 95% of those. So why is that necessarily bad?
Well, here, so what I'm saying is that it's generally speaking, the Democrats will support like a progressive candidate. I'm pretty sure if they win like a primary, like generally speaking, that's going to happen. But on the progressive / socialist side, it seems like there's kind of an abandonment if they don't get their choice in the primaries on their candidate. And then all of the polling shows, the thing that hurts even more is that all of their polling shows that they're like really far removed from even where the moderate Democratic voter is these days. So the fact that they are basically saying it's all or nothing on our primaries for our candidates, and then we're going to become disengaged afterwards, and we're going to spend the entire primary attacking your party with as much vitriol as possible. Like, I thought it was really funny. I saw Mehdi Hasan tweet 2 days ago where he was like, where are all the anti-war protests against Trump? And it's like, good question, Mehdi. You're very close to figuring that one out. Like, they were only there for Kamala and Biden. Like, yeah, that's just a really
that whole panel I was on was anti-war against Trump, although a lot of them were just shitting on Israel. The point was we're anti what the government is doing right now.
Sure, but not like in a way that is supportive of the Democratic Party. Like the same people that are anti-war that then talk about like the duopoly or the two-party,
Because the Democratic Party right now is kind of not opposing the war to the extent that
What
the
do you-
party
wait,
or
hold
the
on.
progressives want them to. Like they're just
What-
kind of
the
saying,
party-
yeah, it's
yeah, but
illegal,
they're-
but well, maybe we'll have to discuss whether or not this is legitimate action, not, hey, this is fundamentally wrong. That's why it's anti-democrat.
but I mean, like, if you were opposed to the war, voting for Kamala would have not had us in this position.
I agree, but that's not what the point of what I was saying was. You're saying why are they shitting on Democrats? It's because Democrats aren't providing a voice for the people that are anti-war right now.
This line of thought is just a line of thought that no other sane political party would ever entertain. Like you can't. There's no way that you would accept a group of people who campaign against your candidate in the primary for months and months and months, crying and screaming and baby raging, and then as soon as bad shit happens when the other guy wins, all the bad shit that our candidate said was going to happen, they then turn around and say, "Why aren't the Democrats doing anything about it, having a stronger stance about it?" Like,
oh,
that's
sure,
just,
yeah.
That's just,
I
that's
think
a
the left
suicidal
people.
ideation to me. Like,
well, don't get me wrong. The idea that people say, "Oh my God, Democrats are feckless. I'm not voting for them. You have to win my vote," and then complain when the Democrats don't have power to stop things. Yeah, those are people are fucking stupid. But the idea that these people can help us get more progressive candidates that are anti-war and want to support those candidates, hey, maybe they're going to give up when their candidate doesn't win, and that sucks. And they're not even, they'll go further than that. They'll be negative. They'll detract and drive voter apathy, and that's fucking bad. That doesn't mean I should give up their help in the short term to get candidates that I want, right?
I think it does, because you're fostering a cancerous movement inside of your own party that's going to devour you from the inside or hurt you come the generals. Which I
You
think
think
that
it's
Well, they're going to do that. They're going to do that either way, right?
no,
Yeah, I'm
because
just-
right now the issue is
Yeah.
and you see this the way that they're utilized right now is Hassan is just being used to attack the entire Republican Party. Or, I'm sorry, attack the entire Democratic Party. Like everybody sees these people just launching platforms to attack the entire Democratic Party, and I think
So what?
I don't know.
You of all people should know that the Republicans are going to call us fucking communists no matter what, whether or not Hassan exists and is seen on the same platform as you and I. Like
sure,
that,
I
that's
agree,
not
but
gonna
you add a
stop
little
them.
bit more. Well, there's an issue though because one, there's more legitimacy to it, which helps it carry a little bit further. But then two, Hassan is also attacking the Democratic Party from the other side. So now they're amplifying a voice that's being used to attack the Dems, a voice that's also basically exclusively used to attack the Dems. And then, yeah, I don't know. I just don't know what. Like, would we say in 2024 were the lefties helpful or harmful in the general to us?
In the general, absolutely harmful. Yeah.
Then why would we do it again?
Why would we do what again?
Entertain them as being part of our movement just to have, like, if they were
Because
damaging in the easiest election of all
If
time.
they're damaging in the general, regardless of whether or not they help us in primaries that we care about, why does it matter whether or not they help us?
How are they
now?
helping you in primaries
How
that
can
you
they help you
care
in the primary
about?
if you lose the general?
What do you mean?
But they
No,
also
no,
just
no.
go and vote for
First
their
of all,
candidate, and then they don't
let's
show
be
up in the
clear.
general.
I'm talking about multiple elections. So, for example, when I'm talking about that PV panel, there's multiple candidates for multiple different races that I think there's no way. I don't think you would deny that or reject all of these candidates. You probably support a couple of these, and at the very least, you understand that like people that you probably would support. Like I know you've expressed positive feelings about AOC, Mamdani. Like these people also are saying, hey, I'm going to utilize this person to help me. And just because they're not going to vote for my candidate in the general, and if not actively detract from them, they're going to do this either way. Why not take the benefit of their incredibly large platform and incredibly large audience to help you get the people that you agree with?
Well,
Can I-
first of all, AOC and Mamdani don't attack other Democrats constantly, so they would pass whatever test.
Yeah,
I would
neither
have
do
for what
I,
they work
but
with.
they'll work with Hassan, is what I'm saying.
Do you think that
Well,
maybe
I mean, they
agreeing
distance a lot.
agreeing
Both
with
of
some
those-
of these people, these tankies, might cause you to lose votes among people that vote at like twice the rate that they will, right? Like if you go and you capitulate to a typical Hassan viewer, right? There's going to be some, whatever that's going to be at that point, that viewpoint. That viewpoint is going to be the same thing that is going to have senior citizens now having you lose that vote as you seem less centrist, essentially.
Do we
Less
think?
normal.
Do we
well,
think
that-
that?
do you
us
have-
Hold
as
on, one at a time.
influencers-
Let's hear from Ryan.
And also, let's not forget that young people kind of vote already predominantly Democratic, and they vote half as much as senior citizens. So
Well,
essentially,
Hassan's
their
audience
vote
is primarily young men, and young men primarily moved away from the Democratic Party. And you can say, by the way, that's part in due to Hassan's driving of voter apathy. But if you think you can court any of those people, not Hassan, obviously you're not going to court Hassan, but the idea, like, look at the core movement, because I don't like these comparisons to Nick Fuentes.
So
you can't court Nick Fuentes' audience. The heart of Nick Fuentes' movement is anti-Jew, anti-anything but Christian nationalism, right? But if you look at Hassan's audience, is the primary audience communism? Is the primary audience, let's subvert the Democrats?
I'm glad you
Well,
asked.
Fuentes
I
is
don't believe
saying
that's
vote
the case.
Dem in
Hold
the
on,
midterms.
I want to
so that's
hear
gonna be
from
awesome.
Dan. Dan, go ahead. You're glad he asked. Go ahead.
I'm glad you asked because to me, I feel like Hassan's audience is nothing. It's not even political. It's just a Che Guevara poster on the fucking wall. It's nothing to do with anything. Did America do something good? I'm against it. And that's it. That really is at the end of the day all there is. So there's no point negotiating with this type of a terrorist fucking audience that is either going to vote Democrat or not. I don't even think.
I need. Well, no, wait, Dan. I need to press you on this because this might be true, and I don't have polling on this. But if you were to ask the average Hassan voter, like take the worst examples of what Hassan can be: pro-terrorist, anti-American, to like dogmatically, and anti-Semitic. Do you think the majority of his audience is in line with this?
Do I mean in line with what?
Do you think like if you were to ask the 60% of Hassan voters are like pro-Hezbollah?
Yes.
Okay, I fundamentally don't think so, and that might be selection bias on me. Like I'm obviously just basing this off the people I know in real life that watch him and are fans. But I think when you look at the core audience of Hassan,
tolerant of it though, right?
Oh, absolutely, and the
which is
reason
also
because hold on, Hassan has been on record. It's so funny because I was talking to someone about this earlier today. If you go through Hassan's old VODs and you search for lesser evil voter, Hassan has said this 100 times, and he says, I'm definitely a lesser evil voter. I would vote for Hamas. He says this over and over and over again. You can't really claim to be naive about the idea that his audience is going to be like, yeah, Hamas is better. I like Hamas. It's good. They're a good thing. They're the moral arbiter out in the Middle East. Like, this is something he has said ad nauseum.
Quick question for Soy Pill. In the Michigan U.S. Senate election, the primary that's going on, do you think Hassan is going to campaign as hard for whoever wins that as he is right now for the Abdul El Sayed person?
No.
Okay. Isn't that a terrible thing? Shouldn't they be campaigning just as hard?
Yeah, in the general, they should be, but that doesn't belie the fact that we should still use their support of any candidate that we can get. That we both.
Can I jump in for a second, please?
Let's go. I want to hear from Ryan.
Real quick, wait, I'll do this real quick, and then Ryan.
Real quick.
I wouldn't expect Hassan to campaign as hard in the general as they would for someone in the primary. That's fair. You support someone in the primary, you're up. It's when you're attacking everybody else that's going to the general. That's the issue, is what I was saying. But go ahead, Ryan.
Okay, Ryan.
Who is we in this discussion? Is we the Democratic Party? Is we the influencers? Who is we? Because I feel like if anyone's gonna try and take some of these people out of what Dan, I think, correctly described as a sort of nihilistic anti-politics, it has to be people that aren't directly affiliated with the Democratic Party, right? It's got to be us or it's going to be nobody. Who's it going to be?
I agree with this. But there was an interesting question posed earlier about like a Fuentes viewer versus a Hassan viewer. It would be easier to convert a Fuentes viewer, I think, into like a center-left voter than it would be to convert a Hassan viewer. Because in the environment that we exist in right now, Fuentes is seen as the enemy ideologically to our party. So when I'm having a debate with Fuentes, or if our like audiences are going back and forth, the understanding is that like we're opposed to your ideology and we're fighting on those grounds. Whereas for the lefties, the tankies, it's one way. It's always one way. Like there's no world where Fuentes or any like Candace Owens type can cry and be like, why are you attacking me? We're on the same side. Stop hitting right. It's not fair. Whereas in the tanky world, Hassan and all these guys are spending all their time is attacking Democrats constantly. But if we say anything about them, we're punching to the left.
If you think you can convert Fuentes viewers, I absolutely encourage you to do it. I think that would be an absolute positive for the world if you can get Nick Fuentes
is converting them right now.
No. What I'm saying is that it would be easier to convert somebody on the far right than the far left because that far left pipeline is only going one way right now. On the far right, it's seen as like a mutual fight at least. You're fighting on the same ground.
You say this all the time, like they're never moderating. But like if we are to take at face value that Hassan is a Marxist-Leninist who wants to like implement communism, then is he not platforming and capitulating and kind of ceding ground to liberals or people at least to his right when he does support candidates like a Bernie and AOC or Mamdani who are not communists?
No, because his support for them is tepid at best anyway. Like he criticizes
just
what I said. It's tepid, and he doesn't strongly support AOC or Bernie anymore. These people are like they have like meh-ish
that's after he's already gotten them into office, right? Or not he?
Well, he didn't get any.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like he did not turn on these people until far beyond them getting elected.
I also want to be clear when we talk about like regular just voter bases seeing engagement with tankies. I want to say like high information liberal voters are going to be disgusted when we are super collaborative and cooperative with communists. But low information voters, they hear those like communist talking points and they hear like a really good moral story about freedom from oppression and they eat that shit up because they're not that bright.
Here's the
And
problem.
so there's a
Marlo,
balancing act there.
It's not just high information. They also tend to be the high propensity voters, the people who actually go out to vote. And I struggle with the idea that we should risk the people who are there day after day at special election after special election, showing up, turning out for someone who's low information that may or may not vote, depending
I
on their
agree with that.
mood.
I would never trade one high information voter for 2 or even 3 low information voters. But I do want to say it's not a universal loss or gain when we're viewed collaborating or talking to or engaging with communists, even like in a less than adversarial way. I have to, like I said earlier, like I have to be super careful. I don't enjoy it because I would prefer to be in the like Stephen line of things where I just immediately jumped on these people's throats. But it's not possible for me to do. And I just wonder if like we could maybe get our high information voters on the same train as us to like agree that like, okay, we're not going to move left, but we need people in the center to understand that like we're not just being vitriolic. We have like principled stances against this problem.
Again, the problem is when you let these people in, when you let the communists, the tanky types, the Hassan viewers in, a lot of them will simply subsume whatever organization that you are a part of. And
I mean, I
again,
agree. I'd
I'm
rather
gonna
not
use
have
Progressive
them.
Victory as
Wick,
an
Wick,
example.
Wick, I have a question for you.
Go
The
ahead.
guy who tweeted the PV thing that said they want to overturn the Democratic DNC overthrow, he just donated $500 to my chat. Should I return it?
No, you
Or should I accept?
donate
Should I
it.
accept
You
the
should
support of a
spread
tank?
it,
Should I
okay?
accept the
It's our
support of a
donation,
tanky
brother.
to
It's our
promote
donation.
my liberal values?
It's our donation. We're gonna be communists today in this case. Okay. It's
True,
our
that's part of my
donation.
property.
Exactly. Spread the wealth. Redistribution.
I just want to say earlier we were saying that Democrats aren't doing enough
Each
or
according
talking
to his
enough
ability,
right
to
now.
each according to his means. I get the most money.
About Trump
have
and
the
the
fewest
Iran
subscribers.
stuff, but we had 70 lawmakers go on Twitter and call for the 25th Amendment. I don't really know where you're looking, but Schumer was out there basically saying like Trump's a military moron and we're worse off now than when the Iran war started. I think Democrats are out there and they are talking about it.
Yeah,
I
they
don't know what
pushed
you
the
want to
war
do. They don't own-
resolutions, war powers resolutions.
They don't own the
Act.
House. They don't own the Senate. I think they're kind of just biding their time right now until midterms because they're doing really well. And if your enemy's making a mistake, don't speak. Let
Is
them do
it appropriate to criticize Democrats like Gottheimer for being insufficiently opposed to this war?
Was that the guy on Tim Miller?
Yes.
That guy needs to fucking. He needs to be shipped out. That guy's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I think so.
But
It's
that's
okay to
that's a lot
criticize the
different.
Democratic Party sometimes. Democratic Party
Wait.
politicians.
100%.
Hold on. Whoa. You just said 2 totally different things. Okay. I have no problem criticizing politicians. There are some Fetterman. Whoo, that guy is. Yeah, there are definitely
He
people
votes
you
most of the time, but yeah.
Sure, but there are huge difference between criticizing an individual versus like shitting on the party constantly.
Yeah, agreed.
And people on the far left are never they're never having the conversation of like what should we give to the liberals. It's literally all or nothing on everything. Like you've got one of the funniest clips. I remember watching Austin and Hassan were watching Kamala Harris, and Kamala Harris was saying like we need to call for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza to get this war stopped so we can. And Austin was like happy for a second because he didn't get the Hassan talking points, and then Hassan was like, oh, it's just another temporary ceasefire. Like this isn't even going to be permanent. They're probably not going to do. And it's like nothing is good enough for these people. You can never capitulate enough to them. They're always using these issues. They don't care about Israel-Palestine. They just use it as an issue to attack the left, and that's all they do. Like the idea of keeping a coalition like that together is like impossible when it's always one way, and it is with these people. It's always one way.
Wait, why does it? Wait, hold on. I want to address that because you keep saying it's only one way, but you did address and kind of acknowledge the point that clearly Hassan and definitely his audience is in some way moderating their more radical beliefs, or at least Hassan's more radical beliefs, to support progressive candidates that are left, of liberals, but like are still in the liberal coalition that still want social democracy.
You're talking about the furthest left people in the entire party. They're using these as anchor points to pipeline people to radical ideology. That's it. They're not
Who cares if we both want that?
No, because we don't want that. We don't want people to become socialists and tankies, or at least I don't.
Do you like those do you like Bernie Sanders? Like, would you vote for Bernie Sanders? I would.
Yes, but
Depends
these
on who
things
he's
are
up
being-
against,
they're-
though.
These are the
Should I
these are the
deny
same
Hassan's
people-
promotion of Bernie Sanders?
No, but that's not what we're talking about. They can promote
It
whoever
is.
they
That's
want.
exactly what I'm talking
No,
about.
it's not what we're
I
talking
want
about.
to. If
We're
I
talking
want to
about
appear
whether
on a
we should be
platform to
appro-
promote Bernie Sanders and say
We're
you're in the
talking-
tent for promoting Bernie
I don't know why you're
Sanders,
talking about this.
is that
We're
bad?
not talking about them supporting the candidates. We're talking about us supporting them and welcoming into our coalition. There's
What
a
does
huge
that look
difference.
like?
in the
Wait,
two
what
things.
does that look like then?
As
We
in,
have
like
no-
having friendly campaigns alongside them or pretending that we share
Okay, so
some
that is
like,
exactly what I
ideological
just
foundation.
said. It's me and Hassan going and promoting Bernie Sanders. So I shouldn't do that.
Well, hold on.
Well,
Let me.
hold on. Wait. Hold on. You opened that thing saying, should Bernie Sanders not accept the support from Hassan Piker? If you
Yeah,
like-
and then I moved on. Okay, should me and Hassan appear on a panel promoting Bernie Sanders? That's not okay.
I would say that appearing on a panel with somebody with a massive ideological opposition to you and pretending otherwise, I think is generally bad. I would say generally speaking, yes.
What does pretending otherwise look like? Because in
I
my
think you're not
mind,
emphasizing your disagreements. You're only going there just to talk about like some superficial agreements you have.
that's not superficial. It's we both want this candidate who's promoting progressive values. That's not superficial. That's core to my ideology, and I'm still allowed to say, "Hey, I think this." Like, by the way, I'm not trying to like play
Would you
defense
do
for the things
friendly-
that we all agree with, which is Hassan
you do
supports
friendly-
terrorist groups. What? Go ahead.
Would you do friendly panels with Nick Fuentes right now? Because Nick
I
Fuentes
already
is,
addressed this. The answer is
Yeah.
no, and the answer is because
Why?
his audience is fundamentally, and the core of his movement is fundamentally opposed to me, and I don't believe that Hassan
So are
might be
Hassan's.
fundamentally
How
opposed,
is-
but I don't believe Hassan's audience is fundamentally opposed to me.
Hold
I
on.
don't believe
Hold on. No.
movement-
Stop. Soy pill. If
Uh-huh.
Nick
be right
Fuentes endorses the Democratic candidate coming up in
He already did.
2028,
He's like, I'm
he's
gonna vote
going
for
to.
Gavin
I want to
Newsom,
let
right?
me finish. He's going to have done more to help Democrats than Hassan did.
It's true.
You understand that, correct?
I don't.
You
I would-
don't?
if you think that Hassan did a full-throated endorsement of the Democrat in the primary and Nick Fuentes did, you think more of Nick Fuentes' audiences would vote for the Democrat?
No, but probably more of Nick Fuentes' audience would not vote for Republicans, which counts in some sense as votes for Democrats.
Well, I think more of I think it would be easier to radicalize a Fuentes viewer to vote against whatever the next Republican candidate is than it would be to mobilize like a Hassan viewer to vote for like an establishment Dem.
Someone they don't care about.
Is
Yeah.
the vibe that I get.
Really?
If, assuming Fuentes stays on the same road.
Yeah,
now, it might
like
be that-
Fuentes isn't a good faith actor. I don't believe, right? I don't think
Yeah.
that we can trust him.
Well, wait, what do you mean? No, I think he's pretty honest about what he means.
Because like Nick Fuentes is his entire movement is fundamentally anti-democratic, anti anything but
Hassan's.
Christian nationalism, right?
Hassan's is
Versus
anti anything on the
Ha-
West. yeah.
Hassan is anti-West. Hassan is pro-terrorist. Hassan is like an ML, right? And yet, if you go into his audience, when you accuse him of being a commie anti-Semite, the reason that a majority of people start defending him is not because they're like all gaslighting you. It's because a majority of them are part of this like progressive, like, oh, I want to just like be anti-establishment and move the country further left. And there are tankies and there are communists, but I'm not really sympathetic or understanding of the idea that he has this like big communist movement. Like, I
I'm
don't
pretty
see
sure that if you were to go
way.
to Hassan's chat and accuse him of being anti-Semitic, they would laugh and put Pepe the Frog and say like, so what? I don't think that they would. I don't think they would like fight valiantly against that claim, or they would just accuse you of being a Zionist misdirector.
It's just insane to me that you would think that more Nick Fuentes people would be beneficial in the fact that, yeah, maybe they wouldn't vote Republican, but you don't think that if Hassan was like enthusiastically mobilizing his audience for the Democrat,
But
that
he
this
wouldn't.
wouldn't get a bunch of. I didn't say this is a hypothetical in which he would do this, and this is about his audience, and you guys are rejecting the idea that his audience would listen to him. if he
Oh
did
well, no,
this.
wait, hold on. No, I would agree with you there, but this is not
Okay.
hypothetical. I'm sorry, I didn't hear this. But Hassan will never
yeah.
mobilize his audience for the jump.
Sure, and I don't think he will. Okay, cool. But as long as we
But
acknowledge
that
his
wasn't what you
audience
said
will
originally,
probably-
but okay.
No, that's what I was saying. I was saying that he would be more of a benefit. What did you say, Wick? The hypothetical is like if you got one over the other, like obviously Hassan's audience is primarily going to be better. And when you bring up like, would you go on a platform with Nick Fuentes? It's like, well, Nick Fuentes doesn't have an audience that I can win over. Nick Fuentes' audience is fundamentally anti everything I stand for, and I don't think that's the case with Hassan. And that's what is important
I
when
guess
you
it
talk about
depends
these
what you stand
influencers.
for. Do you stand
Well-
for America and democracy?
Yeah, but
Then
but hold on.
Hassan fundamentally and his audience
Hassan,
fundamentally are against what you stand for.
I'm not convinced of that. I mean, you can show me otherwise, baby. That's why I said I'm not polling on this. But like, this is just not my experience. Like, I don't get me wrong. I see a lot of anti-Semitism in Hassan's chat. I do see the tankies in Hassan's chat. I'm not fundamentally convinced that this is the core of his movement, even if he is. And we can agree on that.
I've met a lot of Hassan fans in real life. I've met a lot of Hassan fans in real life. I have never met a Marxist-Leninist in real life.
I think you have to be careful when we're grouping fans of people too, because like when we say like the majority of people that watch Hassan, there's two groups we can be talking about, or three maybe. the first group is like the stream viewers. These are your ardent supporters. These are your like most diehard fans. These are the ones that I think are like not going to be supportive of the Democratic Party. But if you go like broader and you look at like college students who have like heard of Hassan, I don't know if things have changed much in the past 10 years, but like I remember on fucking dating in fucking California that if somebody says they're a socialist, if you talk to them for like 2 seconds, they're basically just like a liberal that wants like more government shit. My guess is the majority of people that watch Hassan like on Instagram Reels or have like seen a couple videos are probably in that group of just like liberals, right?
Okay.
Or they're like far left liberals would be my guess. But those are not the people on Hassan's stream, which is a different audience. And Hassan is trying to take all those, like, broadly speaking, those liberals and try to move them, like, down the, like, tanky pipeline. Like, that's his goal.
Sure.
Hasn't he
But I think
literally said this in clips?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I think I just remain a little confused why we think that it's impossible for it to go the other way. Like, why do we think... I watched your stream with Francis Fukuyama yesterday, and I have to say I left, like, a little depressed because you and Francis Fukuyama, frankly, both seemed a little dismal about the possibility of like really convincing people that liberalism is a good thing on the merits.
Because nobody has any strong defenses of liberalism anymore. The right is fully authoritarian out of their fucking mind. And
That's
then
why
on the
we have
left,
to do it.
Yeah, but it's not. But Hassan is not a liberal, and we're spending
I
all
know.
the time on the left trying to figure out if we should court MAGA light on the left, and there are no. You can't even come up and defend anything on the center left. A defense of Harris or Biden is a joke. You look like a loser doing it. You know, anybody that's on Hassan's team, and even like a lot of like just younger people or people that are online who are these populist people, the Epstein class, people like Ro Khanna push this idea, is all the liberals. Everybody thinks like Nancy Pelosi was a corrupt inside trader. Like everything is like fucked on the center left. And so instead of even, I think this all plays into the argument of like, do we court these people? It's like, instead of ever building out a strong center left identity, the center left just eats itself and then talks about having to court the far left that has no two-way street with the center left. And then you get people like Hassan who are talking about the duopoly, the two-party system that is all the same. And then the New York Times or center-left libs are writing hit pieces on Gavin Newsom. And it's like, what the fuck is happening? There is no like liberal representation anywhere.
And again, anyone who is saying that the Democrats are struggling or failing or not doing enough, etc., we are putting up win after win after win after win at the ballot box. Like we've flipped 31 seats now. 30
Huge
seats
number.
now?
Somewhere
right?
around there,
like,
yeah.
The idea that the Democrats aren't doing a phenomenal job, right?
With what they have.
Is amazingly out of touch. And this is the insidious nature, I think, of courting Hassan or playing nice with Hassan, etc.
Just to be clear, not courting Hassan. I don't think anyone thinks that we're going to convince Hassan.
But there are a lot of people who want to like kind of tolerate him within kind of the sphere. Maybe not you specifically, right? But there are people out there, I see them in my chat, right, who are advocating for that. The insidious nature of allowing that is it distorts reality, and you begin to hear so much the Democrats are flailing or failing from all sides that you begin to believe it, and that's just not true.
Well, I don't know.
Here's my
fundamentally, I just think that liberalism is a strong enough ideology and a convincing enough ideology to win people over. I think that's possible. I think you can win over a lot of people who see clips of Hassan on Instagram Reels, like Steven said, and say like, you know, I am really mad about Israel. I am really mad about the fact that we don't have universal health care. I mean, whenever you watch Bernie and AOC, and even Hassan, whenever he gives speeches, the applause lines are not like class war now. The applause lines are not let's seize the means of production. The applause lines are we need a right to universal health care. We need a right to a good paying job. You know, this is a fundamentally liberal framing.
I mean, sometimes the
Hassan,
applause line is that.
Well, just
sometimes the applause line
experience.
Is, hey, you know, if you call these senators and threaten them, you know, they're not going to run for re-election. So sometimes the applause line comes after that. Yeah?
No. I've never seen Bernie Sanders do that, ever.
Oh, I've seen Hassan do that.
Do the what line?
At Hassan at a rally with Taylor Lorenz, basically going on and stating that, like, you know what? When you call and you say, I fucking hate you guys, and you know, I have an AR-15, and you know what? That guy, he's not running for re-election now because that people made those calls. That's the type of stuff that's happening there.
Well, that does happen. So I think you're both right, but I think what happens is that when Hasan is in front of larger audiences, so when he's got his like PR firm that's connecting him with either weird guys or women that want to bang him that are writing these really weird glaze pieces about him, when Hasan is on those platforms, that's like Hasan at his most like liberal friendly. His lib friendly version is trying to pull people in. But then when he gets them more on his platform, the goal is to radicalize them, right? Like this is
why do you think he feels the need to be lib friendly in those environments?
Because that's how you appeal
pull
to people
in.
You're more mask on. Like when I was doing all the rounds on the red pill shows, like there's like 50 million abhorrent things that these people are saying. I'm only fighting on like 10 of them, and then I'm trying to have a good time. And then people see me as like pretty reasonable. But then when they come to my platform, I'm obviously a lot more radical against a lot of these things. But that's like the goal of like converting people in that direction. But you can never do that to Hasan. Hasan won't let you do that on his platforms because they know that the game that they're playing is only one way.
But you just said he goes on platforms where he has to moderate. Maybe he won't do it on his platform, but he's clearly then moderating and capitulating to liberal ideas because he knows he has to.
So where is he now?
He's only going to larger platforms. Notice how Hasan doesn't platform any of you guys. Notice how Hasan doesn't platform Vosh. Notice how Hasan doesn't deal with any smaller creators that aren't fully in his camp. The only time Hasan is moderating is when he's going to larger platforms so that he can try to draw people in from there and then radicalize them when he's got them on his native platforms. That's how he operates. It's always that way.
Retirees in my community showing me puff pieces from the New York Times about this motherfucker going, "Oh, is this one of your online friends?" And I'm like, bitch, Nancy, no, do not look at that shit. He's
but like, I'm sure with you,
well.
Like what are your thoughts on that? The fact that Hasan doesn't platform smaller people that disagree with him. It's almost exclusively him going to larger
assuming
platforms.
That's true. Like, yeah, that's one-sided, but that doesn't mean that we're not taking from him if he's going on larger audiences and he's somehow then going to bleed people off who are like, hey,
what's
like
being taken from
wait,
how do you ever take from him?
Definitionally, you can't because he's only going on larger platforms where he's mask on. Do
you not think that by going on these larger platforms, I mean, even Tim Miller said this, there are Hasan viewers that watch Tim Miller. I don't know if Tim Miller's larger than Hasan, but they don't watch Tim Miller and think, oh, I hate this guy, I'm not a fan of him. It's, hey, like this guy says things I like. When Hasan goes on here, or he talks about Hasan, I'm exposed to Tim Miller's ideas.
Those viewers are watching Tim Miller and actively trying to court Tim over. And then anytime they have anybody that they disagree with on, they attack them vehemently. We saw this with Sarah Longwell on Twitter. She had a conversation with Tim where they had friendly disagreements, and they immediately went to Twitter and absolutely thrashed her and brought up like the most bad faith arguments that you could possibly bring up against her.
And not just not just the audience, but all of the other people who are part of like the tanky cult, right? Ryan Grimm was out there doing it. I don't know if Mehdi Hasan joined that. Taylor Lorenz was out there. There were a ton of those like big people who the pinball machine went off and they all started coming out to shit on Sarah Longwell. Yeah, that's just what they do.
It's not surprising though. That's how social media works. Whenever Hasan says something dumb, I mean, everyone was complaining whenever Hasan talked about like what did he say on Jennifer Welch's podcast that JD Vance and Gavin Newsom are like there's no difference between them.
Well, hold on. No. Hasan got a lot of defense for that comment as well. Keep in mind, the majority of the people on the far left don't think Hasan was electrocuting his fucking dog to keep it in frame. There were a lot of people that stood up to defend Hasan on that.
And also, Longwell got defense as well.
Look at Jennifer Welch. I don't know how much she got. She's getting a little bit now because unfortunately the only other organized group of people in this fucking country are the goddamn Jews, okay, who have like taken to being anti-Hasan because of the anti-Semitic thing, which is annoying as fuck to me, but they're the only other organized people that do it. So in that sense, there were people that have kind of come out on Hasan, but it's only on the anti-Semitism part. I don't think there's a similar bell you can ring when liberals are getting attacked, especially by the far left. I think the easiest example of that is Chorus. Who stepped up to defend Brian Tyler Cohen or Chorus when Taylor Lorenz started digging into them on our bullshit Wired hit piece?
All of us?
No, nobody substantial showed up to help.
You did, no. I did, Hutch did, like a lot of liberals did.
I'm talking like the big staples of media, like people that are huge and recognizable and visible. Like
New York Times, like Wall Street Journal, or are you talking like people big, too?
Yeah.
Was it even big enough? I don't even know if it was that big.
I'm just curious, would we be talking about this in the same way if it was like the Green Party and like, oh, we're trying to court away Green Party voters over here? Because that's a one-way street. Like, you're not going to be getting these people to go and vote Democrat. And if they were going to vote Democrat anyways. So all you're doing is putting the most idealistic Green Party views that you're not going to be able to adopt as a run-of-the-mill Democrat. And it's like, this is not your friend. This is an enemy of your candidate. This is someone that wants you to lose so that you can win, right?
It's like you're trying to court third-party voters. It's just better to go out and get like people who don't vote to try.
Yeah,
Well, here's my question, because we moved past this and I wanted to bring it up. And I know, by the way, this is not a criticism. I think there's a valid thing to do that seems to be the same thing on the other side. Do we platform never Trump Republicans who make it clear that they would never vote for Democrats other than to vote against Trump and don't
Yes,
like any of the
I would
Democratic
say
policies?
you
and like,
shouldn't. If they say
But
they're
we
never
do,
gonna
but we
vote
do.
Dem,
Hold
I
on,
don't
we're
know
having
why
like
I
three
would
different
radical.
answers. Dan, tell us why you say yes. Mr. Moten, tell us why you say you shouldn't. Okay.
I think that you can be strategic about this both ways. Like right now, people be like, "Oh, are you happy? You know, now Republicans are using Hassan." I say, "Well, that's great because one of the reasons that Clinton won was his Sister Souljah moment, where he came out and he showed himself to be a centrist, a moderate, as opposed to other people who weren't willing to rebuke Jesse Jackson at that moment. So Hassan can be a lightning rod to be like, listen, I'm not a fucking crazy lefty that's going to make you use 600 pronouns and shit in a kitty cat box when you go to school. That stuff's crazy. So he can still be a benefit to Democrats that are running in that case. So when you're saying, can you use a Republican that's never going to vote for MAGA or something? You absolutely can. You just have to be strategic when you do this to make sure that it's not emboldening the other party and helping your party and you winning, because winning is winning. That's it. It's at the end of the day. So if you say,
right,
why
so,
should I?
so
Why
wait, pause right there. If Hassan and I promote Bernie Sanders, I'm the smaller person. We're promoting a candidate. How is this emboldening Hassan?
But can I augment his argument a little bit? The thing that's nice about Never Trump Republicans is there's no confusion about what they are. They're Republican. The problem with people like Hassan is that people think that they're like the same. Like that's it. Like think about Liz Cheney and Democrats. There's no confusion that Cheney was a Republican. There's only one group of people who attacked Democrats over platforming Liz Cheney. And it was the tankies. The Republicans didn't say, oh, look, the Democrats are the same as us now that they've got Never Trumpers on. They fucking hate the Never Trumpers.
Yeah, wait, but yeah, the Republicans shit on Liz Cheney. The far lefties shit on Liz Cheney. And a lot of regular liberals also shit on the whole let's court Dick and Liz Cheney.
It was
yes,
driven
they did.
by the far left. It was only because it was driven so much by the far
I think
left.
you're vastly maybe online, but you're vastly underestimating the hate for Dick Cheney that has existed
to be
for
clear,
the past 20
again,
years.
I want to be clear
Liz
with you.
Cheney fundamentally votes against Democrats.
So
That's fine, but Liz Cheney
hold
was
on,
the only
Hassan, hold on.
who was willing to be on the January 6th Commission.
Right, she's like, she's
Soypil,
not
I need you to
full-throated
acknowledge
MAGA.
this. Soypil,
But
I
I'm
need
saying,
you
but
to
people
acknowledge
knew where
this.
she was.
Just real
We
quick.
weren't pretending that Liz Cheney was a Democrat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I just want to
Hassan
point
is
this out.
pretending to like Bernie Sanders or
You understand that Liz Cheney.
They're not radical enough.
Wick, you suck at moderating.
They
louder.
don't listen to me. No one listens to me.
Be louder.
Okay,
What
but that's part of the charm. Soypil.
Yep.
Liz Cheney did more to help or to fight against Trump than Kyle Kulinski did. She did more to fight against Trump than Hassan did. She did more to fight against Trump than any of the lefties who attacked her. Right? You understand that at a fundamental level, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So when people are like upset that we are courting Liz Cheney, we're not courting Liz Cheney. What we're doing is we're allowing her to say, hey, Trump is that bad, and I'm going to vote for Democrat. Right? I'm going to vote for the party.
And I'm saying
candidate.
that if you can do that in a general, and just because it's very clear to me that Hassan and his audience probably won't do this in any general, but you can do this in other races where you agree with their picks, why not do that? That's one
of the reasons is then you tie yourself. It's the same reason you don't hang around someone with leprosy. You might get leprosy. And look at the way that they're attacking him, thankfully, on CNN, MSM, like the Fox News, all these channels, mainstream media. Like anyone who's going to be working with Hassan is going to catch leprosy, right? So they're going to be able to effectively tie you and whatever cause that you want to win to him, and it's not going to be effective.
And you think that's more poison than winning his audience over? Like, if I saw data
I don't
on
think
that,
we can win his audience over in any real way.
But when are you winning his audience over?
I don't understand.
when they're voting for candidates that I want them to vote for.
Yeah, but they're going to
But
do
it's
that
only
anyways.
the candidates they want to vote for. It's only the
They're
candidates they want to vote for.
They're never voting for candidates you
It's
want to
their
vote for.
candidate.
They're voting for candidates that they want to vote for.
Yeah.
If you
And
want to vote for
sometimes,
them or not,
and
that's up to
sometimes I
them.
want to vote for those candidates, and I'm willing to combine.
And that's fine,
platforms
but you're
and work
not
together
winning
to
them
promote
over
that.
to your side at that point. They're
I'm
not
not
coming to
convinced
you.
of that.
They're free riders.
Yeah,
I know
you get,
Hassan
you
is,
get
but
nothing
I'm not
working
convinced
with
that
him. You get
happens. That
nothing.
his audience is this like immovable, intractable
I
communist
just-
terrorist
I-
supporting like.
I'd like
I
to just
reject
put something
this-
out here.
Okay.
Hold on, real
Dan,
quick here.
then Ryan, go ahead.
By appearing with Hassan and not challenging him and not pushing most of his insane stuff away, you are.
Wait, Dan. Let's be clear. I'm
No,
not saying
let
don't
Dan
challenge
finish.
him.
Let
Oh
Dan
yeah, but
finish.
I want to make sure we're not
Soy pill,
arguing
stop.
against the straw man.
Ah, stop.
Well, no, it's
Dan,
fine. What
go
are
ahead.
you trying to say? Be brief.
I'm saying you can completely and vehemently oppose this person and still
Sure.
appear on
Okay,
panels
great.
with them and not constantly be
Yeah,
adversarial.
so I disagree with that because I think that by appearing on a panel with him, by not being adversarial, people are going to use it against you, and winning is winning. And at the end of the day, if you want to be winning, you have to appeal to old people and not to people like Hassan's audience, which are probably a portion of them are going to vote Democrat no matter what, and the rest of them were not going to no matter what. There's nothing to gain by giving them an inch at all. There's nothing to gain, but there's a lot to lose because if you say the wrong thing, if you don't push back on the wrong thing, then all of a sudden that's going to be played ad nauseum on fucking CNN, and they're going to be like, I'm sorry, Mr. Saltman, when you were here in this Hassan Piker panel, and he said that Israel should be annihilated, and you just nodded your head. So do you believe that? Is that something that you're big about? And that's the reason. There's nothing to gain. Everything to lose.
But I'm not saying if I appear on a thing where we're both promoting like a Bernie Sanders and Hassan says, let's annihilate Israel, that you shouldn't push back on that.
Yeah,
so,
but the problem is
gonna
that when
say it there, he'll never say it on that platform.
Hassan, when you talk to him, like, I don't know, did you watch when Hassan was doing his little rally with Abdul Sayed? And I'll tell you, when they're in the bus together, the entirety of that bus ride, all they talked about was Israel. That's it. This is supposed to be a guy just running for senator of Michigan. You would expect to hear like, oh, how are we going to bring back fucking auto manufacturing or make things more affordable?
Make
it was
Detroit
just
great
Israel.
again.
It was all about Israel. The entire car ride, okay, of this was based around that. And I just think that engaging in that, if you want to be taken seriously and you want to win, by sitting there and engaging it, it's going to be used against you and it's going to cause you votes and you're not going to win. And winning is winning. And I think that if Democrats want to win, they should do winning moves. And a winning move is not sitting around with a loser that's going to be fucking baggage and fuck you over later on in life. That's it. So I think you should avoid those.
And I'll concede this, and I just want to be clear. If you can show me data that working with this person is costing us more votes than helping, obviously I'm not going to do it. Now that remains to be demonstrated to me. But go ahead, Ryan.
Ryan.
I just think
Ryan, go ahead.
I think when we're talking about politicians, it is just not my. It's not my position to say to know what is going to be the most electorally optimal thing to do. Abdul El Sayed clearly thinks that working with Hassan is going to be electorally optimal for him to do. He clearly does, or he wouldn't be doing it, right?
Well, he's in distant third. I think it was his only option. Is he was like, I got to do something here because otherwise I'm going to get fucking crushed.
He's like, let's see if the
I think
lefties
that's
actually
probably
vote.
true because if I was a political consultant, I would not recommend appearing with Hassan. I'd recommend if you had appeared with Hassan in the past, you take the Mamdani strategy and you disavow on stage if you're asked
Keep
about
moving.
it. But so I agree.
Oh, go ahead, Ryan.
But
Ryan, please.
Whenever we're talking about influencers, which is I hate that term, but that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to influence people to have different political views. And we don't want the politicians to sully themselves by associating with Hassan. I mean, if we just accept that this is only a one-way street, then we're screwed. We're screwed no matter what. If it's only a one-way street, he's going to continue getting more and more support, more and more voters, turning more and more people off of politics until the country's dead. And I just refuse to live in that reality.
Well, the one-way street is when he engages with you, he's only converting from you. You can't convert from him. He's not going to have an adversarial conversation with you. He's just going to be there to slop up your audience. And then when he gets them on his platform, he's going to try to
also, he's not going to grow infinitely. He's not like a game of Snake where he just keeps growing and growing. He's been where he's been for years at this point, right?
Why are you worried about him subverting the party if he's like
because
not going
you don't
to have
need
the
a
power
lot.
to do
I'll
that?
tell you why. You don't need a lot of people, right, in order to get into key positions of influence within institutions and have those people portray Hassan as much larger than he is, and have politicians or people with power and influence look at him and say, well, my staffers are all saying that this guy's the hot thing. This guy's the big ticket. Oh, he's got a puff piece in New York Times. Oh, Vanity Fair's talking about him. Oh, this site's talking about him. Like, well, maybe we should work with this guy. Maybe there's something there to it, right? You don't need a lot of people. And I don't think anyone can deny at this point that there is some kind of group pushing Hassan into the discourse. They're just pushing him, promoting him, trying to make him out to be stronger than he is. And you have to ask yourself, one, why are they doing this? And two, how can we stop it? Right?
Well, first of all, that's based on the presupposition that we can stop this, and that
You don't think we can?
I
There's
don't
just
think
nothing we can do?
one, I don't think we can because it has a lot of people that listen to him and enjoy his content, and like the idea that like yeah, if we all just came together and lived in the world where like we can just excise this person completely and now they're deplatformed on anything.
I don't need
like
it to be
I mean,
completely.
like
I
Dan
just
of
need
all
it to be
people is like
mitigated.
done the most to try to like get this guy deplatformed, and like hey, he's made a lot of progress, but it's not happening. Like I don't see this person disappearing anytime soon. So the idea that like all we have to do is just like ignore him, will go away, or like excise him and constantly shit talk, it's like that's clearly not happening. But two, I mean, you talk about like this is hurting us by associating with them at all. You mentioned what the Abdul al-Said conversation in the car was fundamentally anti-Israel. I mean, like, is that not the majority opinion of the Democratic base right now, which is like 80% anti-Israel? I think, Ryan, is that what you quoted to me earlier? Like, this is capturing, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your view, like what a lot of people are thinking about Israel.
No, most people are probably thinking about the price of gas. Most people are thinking about the price of rent. They're thinking about their day-to-day lives. Most people don't give a fuck about Israel. That's it. Now, a lot of lefties like to bring it to that and say, oh, but the ultimate cause, it's the fucking Jews, okay? The Bibi, he sat down with Trump and he fucking made him get this war.
It's a privileged online talking point.
Yeah, it is. Most people don't know what the fuck's going on.
You don't think the Israel-Palestine conflict...
Hold on, give it to Destiny. Give it to Destiny.
I would say I would disagree with that. I think that people do care about Israel, but I think that there's another thing that hurts us because it inhibits our ability to have a conversation about it. Like, it sounded like from her speeches that Kamala Harris had a decent position on it, that we should have been pushing for more concessions from Israel, that we needed a ceasefire in Gaza as soon as possible. Like, these were good positions to take. But now, if our anti-Israel segment is going to be captured by people like Hassan, who would see Israel literally invaded and destroyed as a country, like that is his end goal, he's tweeted this multiple times. Well, now in order to have the conversation about, are you anti-Israel? Are you anti-Israel enough? You have to fucking want the destruction of the entire country. So, like, I agree that like the Democratic voter base has moved to having a negative opinion of Israel. I think a majority at this point, for sure. But that doesn't mean that it's the same as like, I want to destroy Israel like Hassan and his ilk do, but I think they have like a monopoly on those talking points right now, unfortunately.
I also want to be clear on one thing as well. Like, it is true that Democrats have a negative overall opinion of Israel. Like 60-40, I think, is what the Pew Research poll. But, I mean, when you look at other countries, every other country in the Middle East has a lower by far. Iran is 91.9 disapproval. So, like, I understand that Israel bad, but it's not like they're bad amongst their neighbors of also being worse. So I just think it's crazy to have a Michigan senator running exclusively on this issue. It seems to me...
I might be ignorant. Is he exclusively running on anti-Israel?
It seems that way.
I think he will probably lose.
How is he even like doing any? Is that literally like where all his base comes from, or is he also
I think
doing
he's
the
a
things we're
general
talking about, where he's like, making progressive policy points that are appealing to a lot of people? Because you can't say no one cares about Israel, but somehow this guy is popular enough to be in a competitive race. Like, no, it's because he's also promoting quality of life stuff, right? And like cost of living and minimum wage. Like,
is he? Well, we know his position on Israel. What's his position on anything else? Do you know?
Well, either he's talking about something else or Israel's a lot bigger deal than what Dan's saying. So it's one of those two.
Okay. I mean, I can only know like when I watched his interactions with Hassan, what was brought up. And that's
did you watch anything else he did?
Yeah, I watched the speech that he did. So they went to the auditorium with Hassan and he sat there and he was doing conversations with other people. Yeah, it's extremely Israel focused. Yeah, absolutely.
But if you go on his page right now and you look at the tab priorities, you've got economy for working people, healthier America, housing crisis, civil rights, clean air, better education, and then the last one is sensible foreign policy, which I'm assuming is going to include Israel to some extent. Although if I control F here, I bet I'm not even going to find Israel. I'm not. Like, yeah, you talked about it a lot with Hassan because that's Hassan's like bread and butter. This is not what he's running on.
That's Hassan's move. When you say, "Hey, I don't know, why does everyone come after Hassan? He just wants Medicare for all and better pay for everyone." And then you actually go and watch his fucking stream, and he's just fucking screaming about Hezbollah the entire time. So yeah, that might be his printed fucking plan that he has there. But in reality, when you fucking listen to the motherfucker or you talk to Hassan, that's all he goes on about all day. Okay, so it's a nice fallback to say, I just want Medicare for all. I just want a living wage. How much of that is spoken about versus just anti-American shit?
Well,
Are we
I don't know
talking
about
about
Hassan,
Abdul?
his
I'm
stream,
talking about
but if we're
Hassan.
talking about the candidate.
Are we talking about Abdul al-Sayed or are we talking about Hassan?
Hassan.
Oh, well, I don't know then. But I mean, obviously this guy's campaigning on stuff other than Israel, right? I mean, we can agree on that.
Yeah, for sure. But I think that the fact of making this such a push to campaign with Hassan kind of it states the alignment that he has on that front, is what I would say.
I think it's for the record, I think it's probably a bad move. And if I were his political consultant, I would say that. I would say that I think this is a bad move. I think you were right, Dan, that this is probably a basically last-ditch move to try and capture some media attention because he's in third place. I think
I would
you're
agree.
probably absolutely right about that.
Like I would say that's probably what it is. It's like this lets him gear up to do something else when Mallory wins, essentially. That like now he has enough name recognition that he can go and do something else. I think that's the case. But you know, that is what it is. It still has to be called out and it has to be seen for someone to embrace this type of insanity.
What did you guys think about the Ro Khanna's statement on this and whether or not this was an acceptable way to deal with Hassan? Because my takeaway from that was, this person has platform of people that would agree with me. I'm going to capitalize on that. If you bring up the worst things Hassan has said, I'm going to disavow those and distance myself from those. And Mamdani already did this and still was able to utilize Hassan's audience. Why is that bad? Or is it bad?
You can't utilize Hassan's audience. You're saying something that does not exist.
What do you mean? It clearly, do you think
can't.
Mamdani did not get a single voter from the Hassan audience? Like
every single
Do you
one.
think that wait, do you think they would have voted for Mamdani had Hassan not said anything?
Yeah,
about
well, they're
it?
going to be Cuomo voters. Give me a break. Hassan did
They would have
nothing.
voted for him anyway.
Well, maybe they wouldn't have voted at all. They would have like, oh, Mamdani's not good enough, right? Like he's going to capitulate to liberals.
Are you saying that with a straight face?
Yeah. I'm saying that
So
if Hassan didn't endorse, that maybe they wouldn't even like support him at all, right?
So yeah. So what? Give me numbers or odds there. So let's say that Hassan had 1,000 voting people in New York. Okay, and out of those 1,000 voting voters in New York, how many of them you think would not vote for Mamdani if Hassan didn't come out?
Didn't appear?
Yeah. They're going to be Cuomo
let's
voters.
say, in my mind, this might be an overestimate. I bet he doubled the support from his audience by bringing attention to him.
He doubled. So they were going to be
doubled Mamdani's
Republican.
support. Doubled the support from Hassan's audience.
No, I understand what you mean, but wow.
You're saying that without Hassan endorsing Mamdani, Cuomo had a chance, basically.
I don't know how slim the margins were. I'm saying that Hassan's audience is going to, in mass, be more supportive of a guy that Hassan endorses than if he doesn't endorse or drives apathy about that candidate, right?
Okay. Well, I mean, maybe.
So it seems like Mamdani was able to capitalize off of Hassan's audience, and also avoid all the worst associations, because once Cuomo tried to smear him on this, but then once he gets away from that, it's like, okay, well now I'm just going to distance myself. I'm not inviting him to the upstairs after party. Like I don't want to associate with this person and the worst things they said, but I'm able to take the good things about this and make me win. Right?
Didn't he explicitly?
Can I ask a tangential?
Well, hold on. Destiny first. Then Ryan.
Didn't Mamdani have to explicitly disavow Hassan?
Yeah, he disavowed him on stage
at the debate. Yeah. I'm curious why we think it's cool to work with like Mamdani and other DSA people, because the DSA explicitly says like that they want to take over the Democratic Party and make it a socialist institution. Like that's not a secret.
Sure. In the case of Mamdani, it's because the other option was Grandma Killer Cuomo. Okay. He was so radioactive that he was a worse option than the DSA candidate.
The other options were Republicans.
Yeah.
Well, but also in terms of what's being said there, though, keep in mind, like what's going on. This is another difference: is that if somehow AOC or Mamdani, even this will never happen, but assume Mamdani wins the Democratic presidential primary, right? I'm pretty sure, like, I would hope like 90 to 95%, only the Muslim thing would be a question, I guess, for some people, but like 90 to 95% of Democrats are voting for
support him.
Mamdani. Whereas if Newsom wins the nomination, right, what is that?
They're not going to turn.
Half of the Hassan hardcore people are dropping off, maybe more.
How many Hassan hardcore people do we think there are? I'm curious.
Like voters in the United States?
Voters.
I think it's a 5-figure number or lower. I think it's a low amount of numbers. Or the number of people is low, but the problem is by capturing so much of the conversation, it poisons other conversations we could be having. So, for instance, I don't think that the Israel and Palestine was not an issue that was of such high salience that I think it could have cost us the election in 2024. But I think that the obsession with the conversations around Israel-Palestine cost us 2024, if that makes sense.
Like Hassan's audience being so obsessed and being so online and like that,
kind of,
or
but not even just Hassan's audience, but just that the obsession with that conversation.
I don't really think that cost us 2024 in any way, shape, or form.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is that the fact that there were two things that you could talk about if you were a Democrat in 2024. You could either talk about whatever the Republicans want you to talk about, which is trans people, or you're like getting fucked on the left by Israel-Palestine, and that's it. There's like no time where you can ever message on your own message, because everything is constantly being either a response to crazy shit the Republicans are saying, or it's more Israel-Palestine from the far left. And I feel like the opportunity cost of never getting to have like a media apparatus that allows you to say things and message on things and do whatever, it's agonizing.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think that's something that we should, work to build, and that's why I'm happy to appear on your thing tomorrow, where we're going to be talking about raising money to help elect Democrats.
You coming? Hell yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's absolutely a thing that needs to be done. But I think if somebody's going to bring these people back from the brink, I know I keep reiterating this, but it's going to, unless we think it is totally impossible to win back people who are nihilistic anti-politics from the brink, then we should be trying. We should be trying to do it because we don't want Democrats to do it.
I gotta do this. Wait, no.
No, you motherfucker.
No, because you're about to say the retarded shit.
You're going to say retarded shit.
No, you can't bring them back because Hassan and these other people have intentionally designed their platform so that cannot happen. If this was just an ideological battle in a vacuum, sure, but Hassan will not expose his audience to critical confrontation, the same way that all of MAGA works right now. This is explicitly and specifically how these audiences are designed. That's the issue.
I don't know
what I was going to say.
Can I respond to that?
Before you respond, hold on. Let Dan get his thing.
Okay, well, then I'm going to have to respond to both of them.
Yeah,
you can. That's the way it'll be fair.
That'll be fine.
It's not worth going after them because the amount of concessions you would have to give to get one Hassan voter would cost you 20 other voters that would be normal in that case.
I think
that's why. Is it possible to get Hassan voters? Yes, it is. It absolutely is.
I just don't understand. Like, you guys are acting like Hassan has like a great China firewall around his audience.
I'm sorry.
Hold on. Let Ryan go, please.
I'm sorry. I never raise my voice on these things because I think it's obnoxious. But please, I think it's wrong to assume that Hassan has every person that has ever consumed his content. I won't even be like that. I think it's wrong to assume that Hassan has his audience in some sort of mason jar where they're bottled up and he can't get out. Now, that might be the case for the most dedicated stream viewers, but as we've already talked about, there's a lot of people who consume Hassan through Instagram Reels, through these other ancillary means. I think that a lot of the people that watch Hassan casually, maybe not the people that watch every day for hours and hours and hours on stream, but the people who are exposed to his rhetoric in passing and like it and say, I'm really upset about Israel. I really want Medicare for all. Those people are absolutely winnable. And I don't think that he has those people locked up in some sort of mason jar where they're never seeing any other kind of content.
I think that you're right. No, you're right. But the problem is that we shouldn't be fighting over those people. We should be synergizing to capture those people. When the Republicans
what does that look like?
It looks like Kyle Rittenhouse going on Joe Rogan's podcast, where they have a ton of ideological disagreements, but they're recruiting every single person they can to vote for Trump. Whereas if I'm fighting with Hassan, we're fighting over whether or not there should even be a support for the Democratic Party. And also just this idea of you're saying that, like, I don't believe he has this, like, lockbox on his viewership or whatever. This is how the media environment has worked for the past, 5 years, is locking down your audience and your algorithm as much as possible. How many large figures, Emma Vigeland, Ryan Grimm, Sam Cedar, Taylor Lorenz, all of these weirdo probably Mehdi Hassan, will literally tell you with a straight face that Hassan was not shocking his dog on stream. I don't even know if most people here even know or believe that, think that that's just a fucking meme. But it was true. This is the most don't believe what's in front of your eyes ever in order to carry talking point. If the majority of his audience and the majority of the people on the far left over there can sell you that lie, how can we pretend that this is an audience that's readily converted into some ideology that they all view as being
and just a real quick, please, before you respond, let me piggyback off this, and I do want to give it to Marlow because she's being very polite, right?
Well, sure. Wait, hold, but also because this is like a 7v2 panel, so I feel like Ryan and Swipe will have to.
I understand. They'll get their chance. Let me moderate my panel, Destiny.
Well, you're not moderating right now. You're attacking them. You're participating.
Yeah, shut up. I am doing both. I am wearing two hats. Well, one hood, one hat, but it's a tiny hat. You can't see.
Love that
video. Yarmulke, maybe. Anyway. Damn it, what was I fucking going to say? Marlow, go ahead.
Total miss.
So I think so. There's this pamphlet that I like to reference. There's a fellow named Lee McIntyre who wrote a pamphlet called "On Disinformation," and basically the whole premise of the damn thing is that you cannot argue people out of opinions that they didn't argue themselves into, right? So like this idea of like MAGA and the far left both have this kind of like cult belief system where they're not necessarily using reasonable means to defend their actual stances. Half the time their stances is just, it's all pathos and like cult personality, right? And so I think that we are mistaken in any assumption that we make that that like the media apparatus, messaging, propaganda, any of that stuff is ever going to put a dent in a far leftist's like belief in things like Hassan or the CCP or whatever. And like that's why like I'm focused on like person to person stuff. And like it's genuinely the case that like people who are in each other's lives, who have rapport, who have social connections to each other, can shift each other, right? And so like I like if and I know this is a little bit of a pivot off, right? But if we're in primarily all in agreement for the most part, soy pill, that it's like pretty much useless to like try to use Hassan and Hassan-like characters to get our candidates elected, then like what like I think it would be really cool to see like the liberal media apparatus organizing small town, hyper local arts creators, like working directly with like county parties, working directly with like neighborhoods, insular, granular. Like when I talk to Tinkies, like I have gotten Tinkies in my community to vote for like people on school boards and library boards because I needed their fucking vote. And like they understood that it mattered in their neighborhood, in their community, and that changes them. That makes it possible for them to understand that later down the line, maybe Gavin Newsom's not so bad fucking after all.
Well, here's the thing, though. If Hassan is appearing on a PV panel where he is the largest person by far with the largest audience, yeah, it's not adversarial. But at the same time, you have people that are going to be exposed to people like Dylan Burns, who is vehemently anti-Hassan, especially on Ukraine stuff, and promoting things that go against Hassan's Ukraine talking points. They're going to get exposed to me, who will talk shit about Hassan and try to bleed those people over into being less tanky. So the idea that like you'll never ever be able to capitalize on this just because you're not adversarially going on his stream, I think is belying the point that he is constantly going on smaller platforms and exposing other people in his audience to people that will like pull them away from him. Like, does this not happen?
No, because you can't name a single person who says, "Oh, I have a lot of Hassan viewers. It was a great experience." This doesn't happen. It never happens. Like the only people that they will share an audience with are people who either have a 100% ideological alignment or at least a sycophantic obsession with defending Hassan against all external attacks, or it'll be people that they'll try to either convert or then destroy every single time. That's what we saw happen with Tim and Sarah Longwell. That's generally what happens when Hassan's audience tries to infect other people that he might get into a tiff with or whatever. But like, who are all these people that are getting platformed by Hassan who are growing that aren't like ultra rapidly far left?
Didn't that happen with the H3 audience too?
Yeah. Dylan is not ultra rapidly far left.
Yeah, but they don't see you as a threat. I don't mean this, and I don't mean this.
Yeah, but I'm saying he's appearing. He is benefiting from.
They're not watching.
You think they just like immediately tuned out? Like that was completely tepid, and he didn't give a shit.
100%. The main stream had like 300 viewers. How many viewers did Hassan carry?
I don't know, but I mean, most people weren't watching on the mainstream. They're watching on each individual person's channel.
And Hassan wasn't there for Dylan. So, and what do you read?
Okay, I mean, I guess if they all just immediately logged off, but then I guess what's the issue?
Well, they logged off because Hassan wasn't streaming it anymore.
Well, no, Hassan's not streaming the panel.
Yeah.
Once he's gone. So I don't think that they're not going to be watching Dylan. They're not going to go turn in and be like, oh, actually, I'm pro-Ukraine now.
Well, he swapped to the Progressive Victory channel.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what's the issue of having him on if he's like also not even going to like have his audience?
Well, we've given the issues of having him on negatively, but you were trying to make the argument that at least you can convert some of his audience, but you can't. This never happens. You can't convert away audiences of people that try to keep their audience completely and totally insulated. This is why I know MAGA people do shows or podcasts with other people that it can challenge. This is why Joe Rogan has had all of these right-wing losers on for the 50 millionth time and won't like platform somebody to actually argue with him on any of these topics, even when it's something as stupid as the Lost City of Atlantis with Flint Dibble and the Graham Hancock guy or whatever. This is how the media environment has been operating for the past basically decade.
I don't know.
And Hassan is no different. It's the exact same.
I'm incredulous to the fact that like not a single member of his audience could possibly have like been interested at all in what this panel and what this organization is doing and all the other platform like creators and candidates.
We can
like,
look at the numbers.
I mean, I guess
we can look at the numbers. I have more people watching my stream than Progressive Victory did.
So I felt
we already addressed this. I don't.
I mean,
think
we just asked.
it's
just a super simple. It's just a super simple question. Whose careers have been bolstered by Hassan?
I mean, Little Neff, his best friend. Denims, Mike from PA.
Mike from PA.
I'm running a poll right now, and about 30% of my audience says that they watch Hassan once a month or more.
If you think about it,
you're subverted, Ryan.
They're all Destiny's orbiters because Hassan came from Destiny. So
good one.
Good one. You know, Mike from PA. And
yeah, but like we're not talking about people who just tune in once a month. Like that's again, I think that's.
I'm sorry, Wick, but that is.
We don't even know what that means.
Yeah.
Like, are we saying that like they were converted from Hassan to Ryan Getty, or are these people that are slowly being converted over to Hassan?
The point is they're not.
This isn't a scientific poll.
Sure.
I think, but the point that I was making, I've already conceded. I don't think that you're winning over the people that watch Hassan multiple hours a day, every day. It's like trying to get someone out of the Fox News, you know, where it's burned into the corner of the screen type thing. But I think a lot of people have a positive opinion of Hassan that get him somewhat passively. They consume him somewhat irregularly. They consider themselves democratic socialists because they hear him talk passionately about Israel, about Medicare for all, and about a jobs guarantee or whatever. And I think, yeah, those people are winnable. And I'm sorry I keep repeating myself on that point. But if we think that the voters are unamenable to reason, then I don't even see the point in being a liberal. Like, if we don't think we can win.
To this, look, listen, like we have already agreed here that like tankyism is a social club, right? That like it is about purity testing people and feeling morally superior and believing that freedom is just a removal of oppression and then sitting back at the end of the day in your comfy rental and enjoying your life, right? It's a social game. They're socially susceptible to change. That is the point that I am trying to make. We will never move them with liberal media. We can move them by having them in our neighborhood and seeing them in our lives and in our, like, the only way to move tankies is to talk to the ones that live in your neighborhood. And I'm so fucking serious.
There's another way. There's another way. Show them shocking their dog. I'm telling you. I mean, there's a reason. You type in Hassan and fucking Google. It's a number one thing.
One of these days, I'm going to hook up a shock collar to all my panelists. Okay.
Have y'all seen the Clash Royale deck? Have y'all seen the Clash Royale shock deck?
Yeah, it's fucking sick.
If we want to expand if we're talking about Hassan's audience of just like normie people that just like scroll his Instagram reels or whatever, and you want to talk about whether or not those people are capturable. I think those people are absolutely capturable, but you don't capture those people by collaborating with Hassan. That's a totally different type of. That's just ideally putting forth positive content of your own, or trying to be positively influential on your own to capture
compete
people because they're
content.
They're just out in the ethers of consuming reels and content or whatever. That none of that requires collaboration or cooperation with Hassan. If anything, when Hassan sees those people as starting to encroach on his territory, he immediately launches into the most disgusting, personal, insane fucking attacks possible. To the point about Dylan earlier, what does Hassan say about Dylan constantly? Whenever he brings him up, he's very careful. He's either going over his docs with that empanada, he's calling him a fucking war tourist loser who's obsessed with Ukraine, or he's trying to accuse him of being a lackey of mine or whatever, right? He's whatever he can to destroy these people that he sees who are even remotely a threat around him. But yeah, I think you can capture people in the outer orbit, but that doesn't require collaboration.
And do you think that Dylan fundamentally made a mistake by going and promoting pro-Ukraine talking points on a fundamentally anti-war panel that was not really talking about Ukraine because Hassan was on it?
No, but Dylan is one of the few people who is like so crystal clear on his position on everything that I think that he's always trustworthy to be in those environments. I would never expect him to see bend over backwards on anything to defend any of these other people.
And we're cool with the, slightly adversarial, but mostly friendly panel that was last year with Tarlov and Hassan and Tim Miller and a couple other people.
It was okay because it was an okay start, but I mean, like, people just have to recognize it for what it is. I don't like if people knew what Hassan was, I wouldn't care how many panels they have because I imagine it would be generally adversarial most of the time. But it's when these people pretend that Hassan is just a guy who wants single payer healthcare and strong social equality or whatever.
Well, I agree with that.
If you and I know this is was a meme, but on the PV panel when all the people are like, and I disavow Hassan for his terrorist support, and I do this, and just so you know, Hassan believes this, and now we can talk. Like unironically, if people just did that before every conversation, where potentially you'd have the same support for a candidate, would that then be okay?
be better.
Well, I don't think it does. It just doesn't work that way. It depends on what we're saying. I disavow everything, and now we're just going to go have a friendly conversation. That's not the message that you would sell
Hold
to
on.
people. And these
Timmy
tactics,
Stout,
But I
hold
don't
on.
disavow
Marlow,
everything if
can
he's
you-
going to support a progressive candidate.
That's
Like
fine,
I
but
don't
like, if you
disavow that
flip this
part.
on the other side, look at how they view people in the liberal camp. If you had a single association with anybody that they deem to be bad ever, no matter how combative your association was, they'll always use that to assassinate every single thing about your
Yeah, and
political
don't you think
ideology
this
or
is
type.
more to the fact that they're allergic to power and will shoot themselves in the foot, but we can still capitalize on the power that they can lend us when
No,
they
that's
can?
them using their platform to exclusively try to capture from our audiences while inoculating their own audiences from ever being captured by us, because they constantly poison the well. They're not making excuses for us. They're mining for any singular bad things they can find about us in order to discount their audience's opinion of us from the start. They're poisoning the well immediately.
Okay, but that doesn't negate the fact that we can use their audience for
You
power
can't
for
use them.
candidates.
Their audience will. He is deliberately engaged in a mission to make sure his audience knows that you guys are the enemy, whereas you guys are trying to make excuses for his beliefs. That radicalization pipeline is only ever going to go one way. That's how it works.
But I'm not making excuses for his beliefs. That's the whole point. I will shit on
You
Hassan
are.
constantly. No, I'm
It doesn't
not. I'm
matter. You're
literally
saying right
shitting
now
on
that
him
he's a
constantly.
worthwhile coalition partner. He's a person that's like worth working with. We do have some overlap in belief. Meanwhile, he's saying that all
We
of the
do.
liberal beliefs are fake. They're just like, it's just here to, it's the pressure valve to ease some of the tensions while they try to
Okay.
distract from corporate issues. It's the Epstein parties.
Well, how do you square the circle with like? And again, I don't think this is bad. I think this is a good thing. Like you work with like counterpoints, right? And like I'll work with counterpoints. And this guy has clearly said he'd vote for JD Vance in an election. He's not a
I don't know
Democrat.
how
He's
many,
avowedly a
times I
Republican.
can repeat the same thing. Connor Points is a Republican. Everybody
Right.
knows where he stands. If he started
Right.
showing up on my stream, okay, with a tutu, pretending he was a gay liberal or something, and I knew he was lying, I don't think I'd have the same conversations with him. But people know who Counterpoints is. He's a Republican. He's open about
Okay.
that. But nobody
Right.
in my
But
audience.
you're
is making
working with
excuses
someone
for-
like the this is what I'm saying was like there's this moving target of like who's in the tent. It's like, okay, are they going to support the general?
Wait,
and
I'm
it's
so
like,
sorry.
well, he's
It's
not.
not a moving
right?
target. It is not a moving target. It's never been a moving target. You keep moving the target, but it's not a moving target. The question is do they support the party and the candidate?
He doesn't.
That's always been the question.
Counterpoints
He's
doesn't support the
Counterpoints
party
is
and the
not in
candidate.
tent. He's an adversarial debate partner, just like Fuentes is not in
But
my
that's
tent.
not
but I
that
would
is
say
not how you
him.
platform counter. You bring him on sometimes to agree with like anti-Trump stuff, right?
Can I ask?
Wait. Anti-Trump stuff is adversarial. It's attacking the conservative
But
party.
you're not attacking him.
No, but that's because people
you're both
clearly
fighting the
wait, people
conservatives.
already no.
Okay,
People,
so
no,
if
no,
me
no,
and
no, no,
Hassan
no,
Let
both
Destiny
are voting
finish.
progressives.
That was retarded. I don't know why we said that. No, we're not agreeing. People know what Counterpoints is. Counterpoints is a conservative. They're not coming here under the assumption that me and Counterpoints have this huge similarity where they know that we have massive differences. We're just fighting Trump. If the liberals and the tankies had that relationship, then I'd be okay with that. That's fine. If it was like, we know that Hassan is a fucking cancerous leech that wants to destroy this fucking party from the inside out, but at least we're both opposed to fucking Trump, then fine. That's okay. I'm okay with
So
that.
you
But
don't
that's
have a
not the
problem with working
impression.
with Hassan. You have a problem with the deception that Hassan is promoting. So all that
This-
needs to
I've said this a
happen is
million
that you
times,
need
yes.
to. Okay, well, yeah, you have zero problem with the platforming. You have zero problem with any of this. It's hey, we can do whatever
that's
we
not
want in
him
the same
having
capacity.
zero
Hold on.
problem.
No, it's only the caveat that everyone needs to understand what he is. But after that, if we have the same views, we can work together.
Correct, but the issue, Soy Pill, and I know you think you've got a point here, the issue is that Hassan will not allow that platform to take place. That's the other point that I'm making. Hassan will not be on a platform where
have him on the platform to be able to discuss this. And you can say this if he does appear on you, and maybe then he'll never work with you again, and so be it. But like, it seems like it really isn't the working with him part that you have an issue with. It's literally just the deception. So as long as we spread that message enough, like, okay.
I'm just curious. So essentially, you're saying that, okay, so in this case, you have someone that is against foreign military intervention, against big tech censorship, against economic populism, and criticism of the donor class, all this stuff. And you think that essentially, like, these are good things. You should talk about this as long as you dispel kind of the bad stuff, the crazier things. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, that's Nick Fuentes I just described. So you're okay talking with Nick Fuentes, and you said you weren't. The thing is,
No.
in your mind,
No, because the way that
Hassan, hold on, in your
Because-
mind, Hassan and Fuentes are totally different people. That Fuentes is like, he's crazy. He's a white nationalist. He's a racist. We can't be with him. But I'm like, I
This
just
is-
gave you his positions, and you said, well, if we get past that, we can talk. And
I already
that
addressed
is,
this,
that's,
Dan.
you can't
Dan, I already
already address
this.
that.
The difference,
You can't.
No, I did already address
Why?
this.
These are these are very realistic democratic things. We can move these people to be Democrats, can we not?
The difference is the fundamental viewpoint of the audiences of these people. And like, again, maybe I'm wrong about this.
That's broad and has no meaning.
If you fundamentally believe that Hassan's movement and his audience is like completely the same as Nick Fuentes is, and they will never, ever, ever support a Democrat. None of these people are on board with Hassan because of the progressive things that like
hold
a
on.
Bernie or an AOC. Wick, let me finish, please. Like Nick Fuentes' core audience is, I hate the Jews, I'm racist, anti-DEI. They will never support a POC candidate. They will never support a Democrat. And so the idea that like, oh, if I just have these conversations with like a Tucker Carlson or a Nick Fuentes because sometimes they get something right about being anti-establishment is ridiculous. You can't convert. Those people are fundamentally intractable because their core belief and their core movement is against that.
Their leader is a Mexican saying they're going to vote for Newsom.
Yeah, and they're irrational.
And what?
I agree. But if you're saying that Hassan's core movement is communism, I don't believe that. I truly don't believe that's not why a majority
Well, we would agree that Hassan's
core
core movement is fashion, fast fashion, more than anything. But
Okay,
Hassan is a anti-American terrorist promoter. That's what he
and
is.
do you think the core of his audience is anti-American terrorists?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I don't.
Well,
I
that's
think
because you're deluded
I
on
don't
that
think they're
side.
terrorists,
Maybe I
but I
am.
think
Maybe
they
I'm
support
naive.
him.
Because
They support
what has
Hamas,
happened
they
is people have
support Hezbollah,
sanewashed
yes.
him to you.
Yeah,
They
you
have
just don't
sanewashed
see
him
the
No one has
to you.
forest
sanewashed
for the
Hassan to
trees.
me. I
He goes
absolutely
on
believe that he believes
platforms.
these things.
He puts on his mask, and his audience puts on their
I'm not
masks
talking
too
about
because they all
Hassan.
understand. And
Okay.
you're like, well, he's not so bad, you know. He
Nope, I
supports
didn't
us
say
in these
that.
things, right? And
boxing
you
with
don't
straw man, buddy.
understand that his primary mission, his primary goal, which he has stated,
I
is
totally.
to overthrow
Wick,
the
you're talking to
Democratic
no one
Party.
right now. I
and
already
to-
understand this.
All right,
I'm
I
hearing you,
hate to
Wick.
do this, but I'm just going to read a Fuentes tweet from 30 minutes ago.
Let's hear it.
I don't trust anybody who just started criticizing Trump after this year, but continues to shill for the GOP and JD Vance. Time to be unreasonable. Burn it all down. I want retribution for this betrayal. Democrats for Congress in 2026. And America First presidential candidate in 2028. So they believe the only way to get there is full accelerationism. It's like Hassan on the same platform. They're the same people,
Okay.
except now Hassan is doing less for Democrats.
I got to
than
read this one. $10
Fuentes.
for 1980 rules. Soy Pill, is your role the learning part on Live and Learn?
The main thing I don't understand is why you're so willing to be like, oh, Fuentes is crazy. Can't work with him. Not even worth trying to get a single person there.
You keep saying that. I didn't say this. I said the core of his audience and his movement is fundamentally opposed to everything that I believe. Even when they're saying the shit
But
about
I
the
gave
Democrats, I
you
truly don't believe
multiple things that you agree with.
I truly don't believe.
But that's not true. You're saying something that's not true.
No, they're not going to be voting Democrat is the point. Groypers are fundamentally opposed
Okay, so
to
now
like,
we're
the Democratic
off that point.
movement and DEIs. No, this is exactly the point, right?
You
I
said
don't
they're
think Hassan-
fundamentally against this. They don't want foreign war spending, right? You agree with that? So that's something they're aligned with.
Yeah, there are parts of their platform where it's like in the same way, like I could look at a fucking black pill like incel and say like, yeah, your criticisms of how society treats the way people look are valid, but when you look at their prescriptions, they're not going to overlap at all. And so when you look at, hey, can I convert the Nick Fuentes audience? Absolutely not. Like these are neo-Nazis, right? Versus, hey, a bunch of Hassan's audience who's watching him, not because they're like, oh boy, I fucking love Hezbollah and communism, but because they're frustrated with the establishment. They want universal health care. And I'm not saying this about Hassan. I'm not trying to do like, that's all he wants. I think this is Hassan's audience.
No, that is what you're doing is you're giving Hassan's cover. That's what Hassan does when he starts getting criticism. He says, boy, I'm sorry, guys. I just want universal health care and a fair living wage.
I'm not saying that about Hassan. I'm aware and agree with you of the criticisms of Hassan's more extreme views. I just don't believe his base and his movement is fundamentally about that. That's why he has to mask on.
No, he's trying to
Well,
grow
there are a
his
couple
movement
things.
by
Well, one-
masking on his.
Well,
when
a
they
couple
get
things. A couple things. One is that Hassan is only mask on when he's on other platforms where he's trying to convert people. Number one, and number two, we have to be careful when we're talking about like who is his audience. Like if we're talking about the people that like are scrolling reels and see him or whatever, then I agree with you. But if we're talking about his core audience fucking hates the United States. Like these guys cry when terrorist leaders die. They cheer for like terrorist attacks and shit. Like there's no world where I could watch a Nazi takeover of a ship or whatever, and like the majority of my audience is like cheering it on or whatever, like Hassan did for the
Houthis?
the takeover of that ship or whatever. Like I think a really good illustration of this point also, that this weird false dichotomy you guys are trying to throw up, I think came out in that one debate that I had with Pisco, where it was the one where he came in like ultra fucking heated, and he was trying to roast me over my association with Myron because I have a friendly rapport with Myron. But my point was that everybody in my audience knows who Myron is. How many people in my audience are going to mistake like me and Myron as having the same views? It's like nobody. But then when I asked Pisco, how many people do you think in your audience might think that you have like much further life views than you have? He tried to say no, and then he immediately caught himself because he realized that that wasn't the case. And I think this is just the issue, is that people are treating Hassan like he's just somebody that's slightly to the left of us, but all of these socialist antagonists have an explicitly corruptive and corrosive
another
anti-democratic party like
Right,
goal,
and
that's
so
the
if
goal,
I
the mission.
make it clear to my audience all of the extreme views that Hassan has, and then I say, and that said, I'm going to combine and work with his platform to promote a Bernie Sanders type person, then clearly they're not going to have any misconceptions about my views if I make it clear what I think about the person I'm working with, right?
Yeah, I agree.
How big do you think Hassan's like core audience is, the people that watch him on stream versus the people that consume him in other formats, like we are talking about, just getting served up in the slopgorithm?
Probably 1 or 2 orders of magnitude smaller. The people that like are just slop enjoyers or whatever. It's probably
Okay,
going to be
so
super
I
random
think
streamer, yeah.
we can think about this from a somewhat utilitarian perspective. If you're Tim Miller and you have the opportunity to appear with Hassan on a panel with Tarlov, with all these people, and you're not going to convince any of the people that Hassan talks to you about on stream, but you also know that by appearing with Hassan on this panel, you're going to get recommended in the algorithm to all these people that consume Hassan content. Is that a worthwhile trade or no?
I'm not sure if that'll happen. I mean, I guess it depends on what your clippers and everything looks like, but I just don't see.
You don't think that someone put like Tim Miller, or Hassan roasts, whatever.
Is he going on there
in the
insane
thing?
washing Hassan, or is he going on there and being adversarial? Because I think these are two completely different outcomes.
I mean, it was a friendly / adversarial conversation. This is a real thing.
You're talking about the actual Tim Miller conversation. I think it's fine that they did that because according to everybody, I haven't watched it myself, but people are making it seem like he had like some adversarialness to the nature and stuff like that.
Yeah, but it was friendly. I mean, you wouldn't come away from that conversation thinking that they hated each other. I'll say that.
But it was clear to the audience. I didn't watch it, so I'm asking you. Was it clear to the audience that they didn't agree ideology on everything?
On some things, they didn't talk about communism.
Then I'll watch it. I might have a different opinion later.
I think my audience probably think me and Destiny disagree on a lot of stuff, and I probably am like 96% aligned with like the shit that he believes. So like it depends on how you're like half of our fucking conversations are fights, but like I'm going to now like tomorrow work with you to try to raise money for all the candidates and canvas for the candidates that we both agree with, right? Like
but no one's in doubt that you're going to vote for a Democrat.
And also Hassan is never doing that with anybody else.
Okay.
Hassan's never platforming a smaller person who disagrees with him and is going to be critical of him. It's only to absorb audience. That's the only way that these people function.
Yeah, we've covered that.
So I just don't understand where maybe in terms of what Ryan is talking about, like maybe you can get in the algorithm with them, but I mean you could get into the algorithm with them reacting to their content or just doing your own content. I just don't think that requires collaboration.
Do you think that when he platforms like a candidate or like a person in Congress, like this isn't kind of him lending his credence to smaller platforms like a Ro Khanna or someone who's not even like in office yet, like a Mamdani?
No.
It's for
almost like
clout,
it's almost like a sword versus a
Ro Khanna, Bernie Sanders, and AOC. These are normalizing clout grabs for Hassan. Mamdani, he skipped his second interview with him because he didn't even think he was going to win the primary. It wasn't until after he won the primary that Hassan became the full ultra time Mamdani dicksucker. And then Mamdani has had to distance himself from him publicly just because of all the insane shit he said. Like the idea that Hassan is doing this is there's going to be people
hear about Abdul again.
For. Yeah, there's going to be people that you'll vote for regardless, and Hassan is not like changing anybody's mind on getting them to vote for Mamdani, but he will try to pull people away from the Democrats to vote for either more radical people or to disengage them.
I'm aware that's a one-way street. He won't promote like center-left candidates, but if he's platforming smaller people, candidates that otherwise his audience wouldn't have heard of, that you and I might have alignment with, is this not him lending his platform to them, even if it's a one-way street?
Democrats. It's like all the fight with Democrats. Listen, if Hassan was out here, if these people were out here platforming people in like ultra-competitive districts, like trying to win some seats from fucking red candidates, then we'd be having a different discussion. But it's not. It's always just infighting with Democrats. Always.
Can I say, I feel like this debate, started with the question, like, how should we engage with Hassan? And I feel like we've sort of gone off the rails a little bit because now we're not even accepting the premise that like engaging with Hassan is possible, right? Because y'all are saying, he doesn't ever engage with people,
right?
Well,
at the very beginning, we all said like, yeah, we would engage with Hassan in a in a fighting
adversarial
manner.
way.
Yeah.
But he
In an
avoids that
imaginary
responsibility.
world where he would allow this.
Yeah, but that's the crux of the
To
issue.
be
He doesn't
clear,
allow it anymore.
Right.
Well, then
I think
I'm just confused about the point of the debate at this point then, because if it doesn't change anything that we're going to do, because he would never engage with any of us.
because people are trying
like,
to.
what's the point of having this debate?
Let me
Wick
explain.
tried to get him on the panel himself.
Let me explain, Ryan. It's because
I just
people are
added.
advocating that we try to, that we make concessions to him to get him to come to us, right? There is I don't know how large I would describe it, but there is a concerning amount of people who are advocating that Democrat politicians and Democratic influencers do just that. And so we are telling you, we're warning you, basically, and saying that this isn't going to get you anything. You're going to give up more than you gain, and do not do this.
Can you play the Rokana clip? I'm curious what disagreements we have
give me
with
a second.
Midst of the midterms, you're someone who's been quite outspoken. You have made several appearances on a show hosted by socialist commentator Hassan Piker. Some of your fellow Democrats, though, have raised alarms about his views. Here are two members of a left-leaning think tank. This is how they put it. They wrote, quote, "No left-wing agitator is more influential and extreme than Twitch streamer Hassan Piker. He's referred to ultra-Orthodox Jews as inbred, employed anti-Semitic dog whistles, bloodthirsty, violent pig dog against an anti-Hamas viewer of his stream, compared liberal Zionists to liberal Nazis, and said Hamas is 1,000 times better than the Israeli state." Now, Hassan Piker says some of his comments have been taken out of context, but he largely stands by them. Do you have any regrets about appearing on his show?
None, and I would go again. But I, of course, condemn those comments. I mean, I've described Hamas as a terrorist state, and we need to unequivocally condemn anti-Semitism. But Hassan Piker was at the DNC in 2024, covering Vice President Harris. What should the standard of the Democrats be? Should we not go on Theo Von? Should we not go on Sean Ryan? Should we not go on Joe Rogan? Should we just have these purity tests of canceling folks? The lesson of the last election is we've got to be out there. We've got to engage. It's a complex, messy, multiracial democracy. I will defend my views, but the people who are saying don't engage will cost us future elections.
Do you run the risk of legitimizing
pretty much
some
the point of the clip,
views?
if you want to pause it there.
Okay, sure.
Like, to me, that was kind of the embodiment of what Destiny even, or you guys were all saying, which is like, so long as he is able to condemn and sufficiently distance himself from the worst parts of this, but then utilize the platform, like, I agree that this is somehow not beneficial to him.
Because that's not happening. He misunderstands what everybody is asking for. Like, the fact that he immediately ran to compare Hassan Piker to Theo Von and Joe Rogan, like, demonstrates his lack of understanding of what people are even talking about. Like, if he went on to these platforms to argue with Hassan Piker about substantial disagreements, like, do we expect him to go on with Joe Rogan and just be agreeing the whole time that
probably
COVID was created in
But not, no,
Okay.
he's not going to go on Joe Rogan and have a
asking for.
conversation about COVID. They're going to go on and he's going to, I know, like, speaking of like someone who's interact with Rokana a lot, when he goes on adversarial platforms, he's usually not arguing. He's like, where can we find common ground? Where can we like push this forward? Like, hey, Joe, like, you're frustrated with this. I'm frustrated with this. Like, he's not going to go on and argue with Joe Rogan about the vaccines.
Sure. Would you be okay if he did that with like Fuentes or Asmongold?
No, because I think it's a completely different story. Like I said,
Asmongold?
Asmongold maybe, but Asmongold is, I'm not sure. I don't know enough about his politics or his
I feel like
audience. I know his politics are fucking insane, but
you really put yourself in a corner here by not conceding that you would do this for Fuentes or Asmongold. I don't know why you don't just bite
I mean,
the
you
bullet.
don't agree with my position, but I think fundamentally these audiences are completely different. So,
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I agree with Soypill here on the difference in the audience question. I know people that watch Hassan regularly. They are not tankies. I mean,
You should go watch
they
the
are.
stream when he had a Houthi terrorist on.
That's bad. These are bad. This is
Okay,
bad
but go
stuff.
look at his chat and you can actually see how his audience
Okay.
reacts.
Wait, I'm
Have a
curious, for the people
disagreement
that you
with
say,
him.
wait,
Oh my
for the
God.
people that you say that watch like Hassan regularly, like, are these people that are voting for a conservative? Like, if they were to stop watching Hassan, are they going to become conservative?
No, probably not. No.
Okay, but is there a chance in watching Hassan that they're going to be moved so far that they believe that like the Democratic and the Republican Party are more or less the same, and there's no point in engaging with the elections outside of like the most radical primary wins ever?
Probably
anyway?
so. Yeah, there's a chance of that. That's why it's important to reach out to those people, get them to watch something else.
But
I agree with you. Yes, they should
Yeah.
watch Hassan. Yeah.
They shouldn't. They should watch me instead.
Well, there
Yeah,
you
so
go.
I
I
feel
should
like
watch Ryan
Sane-
Getty.
But I feel like then Sane watching him, or the fact that he's so what you just said, Hassan knows this, which is part of his platforming strategy. This is why he doesn't go on with adversarial content creators, because he doesn't want any of his audience to be taken away. Like that's. Yeah.
I just find
You'll only lose.
the
with him.
idea of the debate, as I understood it, was, should we go on the same platform as Hassan? And the things that I was thinking of were like soy pill going on that progressive victory thing, or the instances where Hassan is engaged with creators like that panel I keep bringing up at CricetCon. I just don't. But if we're moving the debate to like, does Hassan ever engage with other people that don't agree with him? Like, I just don't really understand what the debate is, because there's nothing actionable here. There's nothing actionable here. There's nothing we can change.
Okay, here, this is what I foresee. This is the path that I feel like we're on, and unfortunately, I feel like it's the path we're probably going to go down. Or you can tell me if you disagree at any point of this, okay? I think that we're going to spend the next few months with a whole bunch of people debating on whether or not the far lefties or people like Hassan should be welcome into our coalition. And at some point, it's going to come down to this kind of strategic big tent thing of like, well, yeah, we should let more people in, not understanding how big tents work. We're going to end up having these people as being larger parts of our media and campaign cycles than they ever should be. They're going to advocate almost exclusively for completely unelectable candidates, and they're going to be pushing the Democratic Party into having strong positions on issues where the majority of voters are not at, that are only going to turn off people from voting. And once those unelectable primary candidates, most of them are going to lose their primaries anyway, all of those far lefty people are then going to mutate into the next thing. You bring up all these people on the progressive victory panel. One of those people is Nina Turner, who as soon as she started losing her race, started blaming AIPAC and the Jews for funding her campaign opponents anyway. So all of those people now that you worked with, that you were making deals with the devil with, are now going to become your number one haters. Just like when Bernie lost the primary to Hillary the first time, they said that it was because the super delegates were rigging it against him, and then when he lost the second time, it's because all of the moderates came together and backstabbed him and worked with Biden. Like, all of these people are going to be the new big enemy you've made. You're not going to get any electoral gains whatsoever. You're going to have turned off moderate voters, and now you're going to be fighting another two-flank war on an election that should be like a steamroll for you to finally put forth a strong, liberal, like center-left platform. I think that's the most likely.
Big tents are about shared values. Shared baseline values that make it so that it's possible for you to cooperate, right? You cannot have a big tent with people who are fundamentally in opposition to democratic processes.
I just really need to know who is you and who is we, and like who, because we streamers, YouTubers cannot do anything about this. We cannot change what the Democratic Party is going to do.
Well, we are.
What we can do is we can decide. We can decide. Okay, listen, please. We can decide whether or not we want to engage with him or not. That's what we can decide. We can decide if we want to engage with him or not. If I wanted to influence the Democratic Party, I would go work at a think tank and go work someplace where they actually pay attention.
We're having a conversation about like, what should the engagement look like? This is the point of like the influencers arguing, the people writing the op-eds, the people that are writing the Substacks, the people that are on Twitter. This is the argument right now: is what do we cooperate these people like they're our ideological teammates, or are these people adversaries that we need to be doing combat with? That's the big debate right now, right? And everybody's having a little say in like what direction they want to push the party towards.
Yeah, and the disagreement comes from, fundamentally, do you think getting Hassan to help a person like Ro Khanna into Congress does less to help than he's going to hurt the Democratic Party by engaging with him? He's going to do that anyway in the general. But if you think
that I just laid out was the path that I think is the most likely to happen. If there's some part of that you think is unlikely or unreasonable, then
I have not seen the data to say that this is potentially going to be the case, and I'm confident enough that it's going to happen. And also, when you say like all these unelectable candidates, but a bunch of these guys do get elected on like the people that he does platform.
Are we currently dealing with the fallout of the last time we ignored fucking progressives? Like they fucking retconned our entire set of rhetoric. They like dragged the entire country into a mire of goddamn identitarian bullshit, and MAGA learned their full set of goddamn tricks from these people, and we're gonna let them do it all over again. Is what you're saying?
Terrible.
I don't think it makes any sense to say that MAGA learned their tricks from the far left. I think that's not.
Are you kidding? Crybullying, snowflake, woke, like woke scolding.
No,
like testing. I think absolutely the structure of MAGA falls directly in line with a lot of the structure of
I think
well, I'm sorry, and I know we're supposed to be on the same team here, but I think
we're not. Unfortunately,
I know that we're supposed to be on the same team here, but no, I think that is removing agency from the neo-fascist Republican Party. I don't think that they learned from the left in terms of implementing their agenda. They have a full-throated, fully developed system where they can do this stuff all on their own. I think it is crazy, actually, to blame the far left for MAGA.
That's fine. I did, though.
Okay.
I would say the far
yeah,
left
you're wrong. You're wrong, incredibly wrong.
Hold on.
More than MAGA left from the far left. But like, do we think?
Hold on. Let Destiny go for a minute.
Hey, wait, do y'all agree with this? Do you blame the far left for causing MAGA?
I don't blame the far left for causing MAGA, but I blame the far left for like
what are you saying then?
For getting us used to the kind of like from pathos, from ethos, like bullshit arguments that like
the
no
style
stances.
that the far left
Nobody stands on a
engaged in,
stance.
MAGA
Yes.
has copied it. I don't know if I agree with this. I think it was
no.
probably
I disagree with that entirely. The far right has been a problem in this country for far longer than the far left.
Of course it has.
Hold on. You say this, but who was bombing people back in the 60s and the 70s? Was it the far right or the far left?
What are you talking about?
The Weather Underground. Are you unfamiliar?
Well, hold on.
Are you unfamiliar with the KKK?
Sure. I asked you a direct question, though. The Weather. How many bombs did the Weather Underground start planting?
I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to sit here and have y'all say that the far left is the reason that MAGA is a problem. That's ridiculous.
I said that the far left taught MAGA its current rhetoric.
No. That's ridiculous, man. I'm sorry. That's ridiculous.
Go ahead, Dustin.
I don't agree with this perspective, but if we look at 2024, like, do we feel like the far left flank, do we feel like this was helpful or harmful when it came to the general election?
No, but that's not what I'm vehemently disagreeing with here.
No, I agree. I'm not representing that argument. I'm just bringing it back to in terms of like courting them again. Do we feel like the far left was helpful or harmful in the 2024 election?
They were harmful because they didn't vote for the Democratic candidate, or at least the ones that didn't vote for the Democratic candidate were harmful. Yeah.
Well, then
actively drove voter apathy.
Why do we think it's going to change this time when the election choice in 2024 was the easiest election choice it's probably ever going to be?
It's not, but we're not saying it will. We're saying why not use them to promote other candidates that we agree are good if they're going to help us.
I'm telling you that was a disaster in 2024. So why do we think it's going to work? What's going to change this time?
When did we work with the far left to promote candidates we agree on, and it was a disaster?
The far left was part of the left. What do you mean? We were all seen as being on quote unquote the same team.
What do you mean? Like, can you address
Bernie
specifically?
Sanders and AOC was on Hassan's stream multiple times. Hassan was out at marches, giving speeches to people or whatever, talking to people. I'm sure there are other far left examples. But there's three of them.
Did what I'm suggesting happen when Hassan promoted a candidate that liberals also want, and we used that?
The candidate promotion is like one of the least important parts of this entire model. So I don't know why you're fixating on that.
Well, that's the utility that I'm talking about. I mean, I don't know what else you're talking about, but
I'm talking about the control of the rhetoric, the thing that like was the most important thing, the thing that like actually mattered. It feels like the whole anti-Palestinian marches movement and the obsession related to the Israel-Palestine, all of these issues were driven from the left, and all it did was damage the Democratic Party and the ability
to... You don't think Hassan started the Israel-Palestine rhetoric, did you?
I didn't...
Yes, no, but he's a big voice.
I think Hassan started all of the Israel-Palestine rhetoric.
No, I know you didn't, but like the idea that like the far left was the issue that drove this wedge, and not that people in general were upset with the Israeli policy, is like this is a consequence of the policy, not let's make this bad.
No, it wasn't, because any intelligent, reasonable person that has an intelligent or reasonable view on foreign policy would have known that if you cared about Palestinians, that the easiest option there would be to vote for Kamala. It's not even in question.
Yeah, the far left is the part that's driving the wedge. But the Israel-Palestine stuff disaffecting voters did not come from Hassan and Israel-Palestine and the leftist.
No, it did.
Like that came from the policy.
No, the Israel-Palestine should have been a mobilizing issue for us on the left. It became a divisive issue for us on the left that the far left used to attack us. That should have been a rallying cry. Kamala Harris calling for a full ceasefire. Do you think like there's no contest? There's no world
so
where
with
you
Joe
would
Biden, and he said he had red lines, and so the signaling from the Democratic Party is we're not going to stop this, and that's what everyone assumed.
But Biden did. Biden stopped several things from happening. He delayed their encroachment into Rafah for like a week or two until they moved 1 million people out of there.
Right, but the point is it wasn't enough. So the Democrats' inability to prevent it was driving the disaffection. It wasn't the fact that the left was like, guys, I know they're good on it, but this is why they're actually bad. It was like, no, people have legitimate criticisms of the way the Democrats are handling it.
Literally tried to like fucking science fiction in like a floating fucking pier that we brought in from like the ocean. If you were looking at this issue and going like, I know, but what I'm telling you is that voters are not being disaffected by the bad Democratic policy. The attachment to hating the Democrats as well as the Republicans over Israel-Palestine, that came from the far left. Absent the far left, the Democrats would have been an energizing issue for our side, would have been to fight against that.
Because again,
Like, if
the
you were
far left,
somebody who was
they're
right, if you were somebody who
continuous.
was-
As someone
if you
who
were somebody
like
who
does
was-
not listen to the far left at all or take their talking points, like I was just watching how the Democrats operate. I was like, this is like unacceptable. I'm still going to vote for them, but like this is not enough. Like this is
What
a
part was
very common
unacceptable, or
sentiment.
what wasn't enough? What do you mean? What would
The fact that they weren't able to prevent Israel from doing the worst things they did.
What would
like
you
the
have them
idea that
do?
like, okay, I think they
prevent
should
them
have
from
done
doing
more of
what?
an embargo. I think they should have leveraged more of our power over Israel. But like
prevent
we
them from
didn't, and,
doing what?
like starving like the Gaza, like trying to do this like ethnic cleansing of like let's push all these people out. Like that's like kind of the policy that I think is unacceptable, and the fact that America doesn't use this leverage to the extent that which I think we could have. Like maybe there are geopolitical reasons why, but like I didn't
Hold on, wait.
get
When
the
did
far
Yoav-
left talking
Yoav-
point.
For Yoav Galan or whatever, when did he get kicked out? When was that starvation plan? Was that under Biden or was that under Trump?
I don't know.
I don't
Well,
know
it's
off
kind of
the-
important, right?
I do
'Cause
I
thought
do
this was-
I do
thought
I
this
do
was under
want to
Trump coming
say
to office.
I do want to say that I do have to read super chats so I don't forget.
Sure.
soon.
Okay. This was under Trump. Like the idea that Biden, was weak on Israel. Like I feel like the only way
Was
the
Biden
reason
strong
you're
on
saying-
Israel?
Yeah,
Well, he didn't go into war with Iran
comparatively-
like
wait,
fucking
wait.
Benjamin
Yeah,
Netanyahu wanted.
true.
I'm saying it
Correct.
couldn't be
Yeah, that's
worse.
one huge
That's,
issue.
that's the
But
whole
you're-
point. The whole
you have a-
point is obviously I'm still going to be someone who says ultimately Kamala is better. This is why we have to vote for them. But I didn't
Significantly
get.
better.
I didn't get yes, and I didn't get like the far left didn't tell me, hey, Joe Biden's doing a bad job right now. I looked at the fact that it's like, hey, they keep drawing red lines that Israel clearly is not like obeying.
What are the
or
red lines?
listening
I don't
to.
understand what the red lines they drew were. One
He
was
literally
over
said
the
Rafah is a
stuff.
red line. As soon as they go into Rafah, that's when we're going to like stop sending them money, and then they didn't.
The
like,
red
it
line
just
was
like,
making sure that they evacuated Rafah. They took like a week off of combat operations to evacuate 1 million people to the north. That wasn't like you can never, ever attack there. The fear was that if they went in when all the refugees were down there, which they were, that they would have killed fucking 100,000 people, which is why they told them to stop and wait to have everybody evacuated, which eventually they did.
I'm sorry. So are we saying that Joe Biden was strong on Israel? He prevented them from doing the worst things they possibly could have, and like the only reason anyone thinks he wasn't good enough is because the far left told them that.
Yes, I think that if absent the
Okay,
far
I think
left,
that's
and if
reasonable.
you're a pro-Palestinian, that's great, but that's because you either don't know anything about the conflict or you have a maximalist position on it, which is not compatible with winning elections. So your voice is irrelevant anyway, right? That's the only. There's no reasonable person that looks between Kamala and Trump and is like, man, it's probably going to be about the same for both.
I agree.
Like that's just not possible.
Well, Hassan does, but yeah, unreasonable.
But I'm agreeing with that point.
Would you want the United States to go to war with Israel over this issue?
But wait. But what I'm saying is then that this shouldn't have been a mobilizing point against Democrats. It's like saying that
Why not?
healthcare should be a mobilizing point against Democrats because we're significantly better than the Republican Party on that point.
No, I know, but if you're seeing the Democrats not stopping a country that we're allies with from doing something abhorrent in a country, and you're saying this isn't good enough, you need to change this, and the far left is saying awful things like they're not going to be different than Trump, so don't worry about it, don't vote for either of these parties. But the like liberal Democrats can look at this and say, hey, this isn't good. Like the far left is not the people that are driving the anti-Israel, anti-foreign policy sentiment against the Dems. That's the Dems and the way that they're handling it.
I feel on the exit polling for 2024, it was like 6% of people had this as their number one issue.
Talking
like
about
Israel,
the voting.
No, but
we're in alignment on like 90% of this.
But I'm saying that like if you look at the far left, this is their single unifying issue. This is what Crystal Ball wants to talk to Slotkin about. This is what Hassan, when Ro-Khanna stupidly mentioned that Hassan went to the DNC. He went there to join the unaligned or uncommitted Palestinian people who were protesting there to protest against the DNC. Like, this is what he went to the DNC for. This was their singular mono issue. And even if it was your singular mono issue, like if healthcare was, that should encourage you to even harder to vote for the Dems. But it didn't for these people. It was what they used to divide people from Democratic voters.
Agreement about this part. I'm just saying that the idea that liberals or anyone else that's not listening to the far left on Israel-Palestine only think that this was bad or were disaffected by it is a ridiculous statement to say that like, oh, the left are the ones who primarily drove this and not they're looking at the ultimate consequences of what is happening and the way that Joe Biden is incapable of stopping them. Now, don't be wrong. Maybe this is Green Lantern theory. Maybe he couldn't have done anything. And it doesn't matter whether or not that they would absolutely be better on it than Trump. But ultimately, looking at that and seeing all these people die and say, hey, why aren't we stopping this? That's the part that made people go, hey, I don't think the Democrats have a good policy on this.
The problem.
What policy did you want them to have?
I don't know how you solve Israel-Palestine. I think we should have used more of our leverage, but I don't know if that's going to have made it better.
Problem
but
is
whatever they were doing, it sounded
the idea
too
that Biden wasn't doing enough was primarily driven by people in the far left who were trying to leverage things to the non-committal movement and all these things. That was the message that they were putting: is Biden isn't doing enough. Kamala won't do enough. right? That was pushed by those people. And without that voice, I think that people would have been much more understanding of the limitations that
Can I just
Biden
ask,
and people
what action would we like people on this stream to take? What action should we either do differently, or stop doing?
I want them to vote down the line blue.
No, not Hassan people. Us, streamers, content creators.
Get involved in neighborhood-based political organizing. You can only reach these people through their social groups. I'm going to keep saying it till I die.
Go to tomorrow. We're doing a stream for DGG Ground Game. It's basically an organization that is going to do a bunch of on the ground stuff. So that would be my thing.
I would say that like the goal, I think your question is like, what do we do in regards to like the far left people, is to understand that like these people are ideologically like they're enemies of the Democratic Party, and any kind of like association or engagement you have with them should just be treated as such. So like, doesn't mean you have to never engage with them. I'm the guy who debates the fucking radicalists. Like I think debating Fuentes or going on Joe Rogan, things are fine, but you have to understand that the type of engagement you should have with these people, because otherwise their goal is to just subvert the party. That's literally their goal. There's stated goals. They just want to destroy the Democratic Party.
They're parasites.
Okay. I would say that what we as streamers or YouTubers or whatever can do is up to your imagination. I think that a lot of the shit that Hassan is going through right now, and a lot of the reason that he's neutered, and whenever someone appears with him, it's an immediate negative, and they have to start denouncing everything, and they don't have more influence than they do, is because I, as a streamer or as a YouTuber, have put effort into making sure that that type of stuff is easily accessible for the general public to understand what's going on. And a lot of people do this for people that they don't like. I mean, this has been done to Destiny, it's been done to Hassan, and it's to great effect. So if you're saying you can't have any influence besides hitting the pavement and doing, direct canvassing, that's not true. You can have a fantastic influence on changing policy and on what's being talked about, and even who wins elections and who doesn't win elections as a result of being strategic, working with the correct people, not working with the wrong people, saying the correct things and not saying the correct things. But this means that sometimes you have to sacrifice your pride. It means sometimes that, you might want to go and yap about something or give someone a really hard time, but instead, fuck it. This person, they're going to win and I want them to be successful, so I won't. You have to be 100 times more like Roger Stone or Stephen Miller, and 1,000 times less like a soy cuck. How do we do it? So there needs to be a level of scheming, a level of getting shit done that you as a person embraces to have what you view as a more just political democratic system come into fruition.
I think that for me, what I would like to see is that influencers, streamers, etc., speak more honestly about who Hassan is and what he is trying to do. Raise the alarm, sound the alarm, tell people in your audiences, tell people that you talk to, say, these people are not just, democratic socialists who have good ideas about universal health care and all these things. No, make it very clear that these people are subversive. They're coming in to overthrow the Democratic Party. They are not our friends. We do not break bread with them in a friendly sense. We can argue with them. We can have them on our spaces, but they're not on the team. That's what I would like, a direct action, right? Is that good enough direct action for you?
No, if you do that as an influencer,
you're going to be harassed by Hassan's
You're going to be harassed by Hassan's audience.
Hold on.
So fucking hard.
I can't talk to you directly. I have to be nice.
Man, you can't. This is the second time. I don't know what that Weather Underground thing was earlier, but
I understand that you don't.
Okay.
Hey, you can leave if you like. You don't have to.
Ryan is very well read on History Week. He's not.
Wait, I think you should have a caveat that if you're an influencer and you try to go against Hassan, that you're going to get harassed. So you should tell people that as well, because his audience is like no other. They are probably some of the meanest people on the internet.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. I think
every
Warden is going to have their snarkers.
I do want to get to.
Oh my god! That was
I had one tweet
crazy
yesterday about
retarded
Hassan,
statement.
and I absolutely got threatened to get doxxed, and people were in there being like,
Or look at Sarah
hey,
Longwell's Twitter for the past. Holy
Yeah, but
sweet,
like,
that
and
was the
again,
biggest
this
tweet I've
is
ever
not
seen in my entire
exclusive.
life.
I know
It is
Destiny. You
exclusive.
had to
It is
change
every
the Reddit.
single
You had to
person
change
who
your
Hassan
subreddit rules.
disagrees with.
You had to change your
I had to
subreddit
change
rules
my
to stop
subreddit
hate
rule.
brigading.
I had to change. No, I had to change my subreddit rules because I don't like it when my audience types mean things about people. Hassan actively encourages his audience to do things that are more or less the equivalent of doxing, swatting, harassment, abuse. He literally read out the full doxes of every single person that was listed on Progressive Victory and showed it on Twitch with Bad Up and That. Nothing
He said
even
you can find
remotely similar
Destiny's
to
address,
that.
Asmongold's address.
There aren't right wingers that would mobilize their audience in such a way. The crazy,
I'm
like
not
weirdo
saying this
lefty
is like
people.
this is
No, you swept. You swept hard. It's okay.
No,
but you did.
no,
You swept
no,
hard.
the
You
point
said
is I'm
every
saying-
community has its snarkers. Nothing
No,
is like what exists on the
The
Hassan
point,
left today.
the
Nothing
point
is
I'm
even remotely
making
similar.
is that this
It was
is
wrong. It was
ground
incorrect.
for dismissal because I think that like if you
Nobody
for
said it was
example,
grounds for dismissal.
if
Moon
you
just said to be aware that when you interact with these people, you are going to receive probably the worst harassment
Yes.
you've ever gotten
Well,
anywhere.
maybe
in
I
the
haven't
said
got it
he
from
wants
Hassan. I got a
influencers to
shit
go
ton
out
of
there.
You haven't
Destiny.
gotten it.
I
Of
just
course
want
you
to
haven't
give
gotten
them
it
an
because
fine
you
with
PSA.
that.
sweep for them. Why would they harass you? You're one of their strongest like centrist warriors. Of
I
course.
literally am calling Hassan
just
a fucking
swept.
dipshit tanky terrorist all the time. Like I don't know.
That's fine. But you're saying that there's like an ideological value here to collaborating with him, and he knows there is because he's using you while you think you're using him. So of course the sweeping is going to be preferential for them.
How is he using me if he's got the platform that's 1,000 times bigger than me?
Because he's got people like you defending the fact that he's a useful person and are part of the discourse of encouraging all of the other libs to work with him. That's his like biggest campaign right now on the internet, is trying to convince the Democratic Party to work with him and to be a part of his project.
Yeah, and do you think I'm the one primarily driving it, or the fact that all the politicians are already doing this? Like,
No,
they're
I think you're
clearly okay with
primarily.
it.
I think you're the largest figure driving it. That's what I said. I think.
Do you think I'm even like making a dent in it, or am I like, hey, I think these Democrats actually have like something to gain from this?
Actually, that's a good point. I think if you're not like making a noticeable dent in the public sphere, I think that none of your behavior actually matters whatsoever. So you should basically just do whatever you want.
Oh, the
No,
chat argument.
you asked a retarded hypothetical where you were obtuse.
Do you have to
one
read
time,
super
and then you
chats,
asked-
Wick?
And then
Do
you
you
did the
have to
second
read
that you're obtuse.
super
The other
chats? I do
reaction.
have
Like
to
you're going to be
read super
obtuse, I'm going to
chats.
answer obtusely.
I'm not trying to be obtuse. Okay.
You are.
sorry.
Wait. Do you think that whether or not you're making a measurable dent publicly is
You're
like
saying
a relevant
Hassan
part?
is using me, and I'm like,
Yes,
what?
and people
Well,
like
you're a
you.
useful
Yes,
idiot
yes.
for him.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe not. But you're not. Might be the person
Okay,
who's moving
okay,
the
I
needle.
think this is a good time to
okay.
read super chats.
Okay.
I think this is a good time to read super
Okay, cool.
chats.
Okay. Ooh, I understand. I'll get to it. I promise. Right? Content first, super chats next. Here, $20 from Secular Baron 8. Opened up YouTube to find Hassan Slop live. Thank you, Wick. Yes, it's in the title. You're going to click on it, and that's what we're talking about today. Riz, what the fuck, for £20, I should say. I always appreciate the wide range of views on your show, no matter how controversial they are. But you've crossed the line, platforming Mr. Mooten, who partakes in elderly abuse against Dan on stream 6 days per week. Do better. Damn.
I'll do it 7 days per week, sorry.
Damn. Okay. Hedonic Samuel for $5. Wick, tell Dan I love him. Hedonic Samuel loves you, Dan. Okay.
Oh,
We're-
God.
Yeah.
All the I love Dan people. Hello. I know all you fuckers are out there watching. Enjoy it. It's fine.
$5 from Word of the Wise. Progressives need to separate themselves from the tankies. Neo-progressives should be a movement away from tankies. We could develop a litmus test. Okay, fair enough. $5 from Javakia. Should pro-Palestine protesters be welcomed under the Dem tent? Sure. Does anyone disagree with that?
Listen, the only metric that I allow people in the 10 is if they vote blue, no matter who, and they've done it in the last election, no matter the candidate, then yeah, they can come in my tent. Otherwise,
My
fuck off.
experience is that pro-Pally demonstrators don't vote blue, but that might just be my selection bias.
Okay. $5 from Word to the Wise. Differentiate our normal progs from tankies. Ask about private property and voting for Dems. Pragmatism, incremental change, etc. should be the test. Fair enough. $5 from Kingler. The most damage Hassan can do, besides using his influence to elect illiberal candidates, would be to allow MAGA, making Hassan the example of the average Dem. What's your response to that? Okay.
They do that already.
Fair enough. $5 from Stormwolf. To quote Marlow, fry the far left. Fair enough. $5 from General Grievous. At Soypill. Kat Abu Ghazela is a democratic socialist. Hassan and lefties arguing about her is not working with liberals. They support her because of Israel-Palestine. Any response?
The point was that a bunch of his audience was ready to completely disavow her because of her comments in Taiwan, and Hassan was having the, same internal critique, not the exact same, but same in the general sense of who do we disavow completely, who do we purity test, and saying, no, don't purity test. This is how we gain power. Let's elect people that are mostly aligned with us. So the fact that I was using this as an example to say that obviously this conversation does happen on the left as well.
£5 from Riz What the Fuck. Republicans going to run ads showcasing Democrats set next to a man saying America deserved 9/11 into eternity. He's radioactive to the electorate. True. $20 from Kingler. Fuentes told his audience to vote Democrat. Hassan said he would vote third party depending on who the candidate is. $20 from the empty one. As someone who has identified as center-right my whole life, I can say I would vote for a Biden over Trump. But if it's between someone who Hassan actually wanted to win, I likely wouldn't vote. Whoever won would be a loss. $5 from Hunger Dude. Reminder for my boy Soy Pill to make sure to prioritize himself and his mental health. You are precious goods to many people.
I'm not suicidal, thank you.
Look, we get heated on this panel. We get a little we disagree, right? But we
nothing that anyone can say on any of these panels is worse than the things that happen to me in real life, all right?
True. £5 from Riz What the Fuck. Parties have a political philosophy they advance. Is the Democrats a liberal or a tinky one? If the former, you cannot nominate the latter. Isn't that true? $5 from Hell's Pacifist. Can someone please remind Soy Pill that hiding your power level isn't the moderation we need? Them not showing full crazy before being in power, etc.
I thought they're never going to get power because they completely drop out once the general happens, right? Like, they'll support candidates that I want. They will completely subvert the candidates I don't want, or that I do want, like a Gavin Newsom or whatever. And it's like, okay, fuck those people. I do hate them. But if I can try to use their power when I can, and they're going to completely abdicate and be allergic to power when it matters, like, okay, like I'm not really worried about them taking over the party, especially when Trump's in power right now. So,
can an anchor float?
Depends on what the liquid is.
Does an anchor float definitionally?
Depends on what the liquid is.
No, it's there to.
You're asking down. An engineer, buddy. That's not, in water, probably not. No.
An engineer, do you make anchors that float? Are those things normally called anchors?
Wait, what about a water anchor?
Can an anchor sink a ship? Why do you keep saying because they're not interested in political power, I'm not worried about them? Just because they can't get people elected in office doesn't mean they can't do damage to your own party. That's such a weird.
They're going to do this either way, and I don't think they're going to be able to do it more effectively if I use them to promote candidates I agree with. That's completely different.
A sea anchor floats.
Okay, we got
it's true.
This is D for $2. I appreciate the lady doing sign language for chat. Okay, fair enough. $20 from Secular Baron. As insane as you all drive me, I love you, Wick, and thank you for doing what you do. Well, you're welcome. Thank you for the $20. $10 from Lawson Harrison. If Piker knows that the libs are just trying to out-Piker him, what tactics do we think he will change or implement to counter this?
I'm not really sure I understand the question.
What does he mean by out-Piker? I'm not sure either.
Yeah.
Like, if he's asking if Hassan's trying to bleed off people from us, and then he thinks people like me are trying to bleed off people from him, how does he counter that?
I don't know, man. That's politics, though. Trying to convince people of your worldview. That's the whole game. That's what we do. Ideally.
No, that's not. No. Trying to convince somebody on a two-way street is what we should do. It's not inviting people that they're masking up and they're trying to subvert your movement, and then you work with them like they're equal. That's ideally not what you would want to do.
I think we just disagree on the gettableness of the large part of Hassan's audience, and that's okay. That's okay.
Sure, that's fine.
We can take different perspectives on it.
Sure. I'm curious, just as a broad example, can you think of a time on the right where they play this game? Where they do this thing?
What? Like,
could you any time over the past 10 years on the right where they've invited coalitions that they know are trying to destroy their party and aren't willing to support their candidate in the general, but they're willing to make some gamble with them anyway? Can you think of a time over the last decade where the right has done this?
I'm not talking about the politicians. I'm not talking about the politicians.
The media is
talking about the influencers.
The media is too.
Well, Destiny, as much as I agree with you for the most part of this, I think that that's kind of a bad comparison to make, because they're fundamentally just operating with authoritarianism, and populism, and unfortunately, the liberal ideals are it's like we're asking people to join us over shared values, not just a candidate, right? And so it's a more nuanced problem when you're quite literally trying to have a cooperative of people who align
Sure,
on.
I don't necessarily disagree. I'm just saying that like the strategy here is one that I don't know if I've ever seen this employed before in a successful manner, and I know
I'm
the
not
right
saying this was
certainly
like a
doesn't do it.
counter, and this makes you wrong, but I feel like Trump like didn't he have like Nick Fuentes for like dinner, or like Kanye for dinner?
Yeah, he
like,
did.
Yeah.
It was with Kanye.
Yep.
Okay.
But what
know your
happened?
argument is,
saying
Wait,
that-
what happened with those people though? He
it
hosted
didn't
these
work
people
out,
for
right?
dinner. Well,
Yeah.
and then once they started to become disloyal, what does Trump do? He attacks them. He excises them from the party. Look at how he's
Bye-bye.
treating Marjorie Taylor Greene today. Look at how he's treated everybody that's ever worked for him in the past. His lawyer Cohen. Look at how he's
These are
treating.
just after examples
Matthew.
again. I'm not trying to say the point was wrong, but that's what I can think of.
Sure. $10.
Well, but wait. But what? No, wait. Those examples are in my ballpark because when they were invited, it was because Fuentes was a supporter of Trump, and it was to try to get Ye to not run for president so that he wouldn't detract from his campaign.
Mhm.
It was when these people were seen as friends, as friendly to the movement.
Okay. $10 from Kingler. When Hassan advocates for liberal, quote unquote, ideas like healthcare and anti war, he does so framing it against the Democrats. $5 from Everest. Why is it assumed converting Hassan's audience excludes attacking Hassan? Vids attacking others almost always get more engagement.
Yeah,
Good
and
question.
I agree with that. And to be clear, I'm again very not opposed to attacking Hassan for all the shitty stuff.
Yeah.
Like he's
Five-
got a lot of bad politics.
Sure.
Like
$5 from John Lee Castle. Wick, nobody but YouTube weirdos gives a F about these niche topics like Hassan or the proprietary internet definitions of things like communism. I mean, I do shows that I want to do, and if you don't like the show, you don't have to come watch. But thank you for the $5, and I appreciate you. $5 from Zach Engler. We all understand what the word influencer means, yes?
Yep.
No.
I don't know actually. What what do we think? What do we think the job of a political influencer is? Because I don't mean this in a gotcha way. Whenever I've started making political videos, and this is what I've said before and in many other circumstances, this is the reason I got into making videos is because I have a certain idea of what liberalism ought to be, and I want to expose that to a wider audience. I mean, that's why I got into this. I don't conceive of myself as primarily trying to get the Democrats to adopt strategy A or strategy B. And, that can be something that other people focus on, perfectly valid thing to do. But whenever I think of what I'm trying to do as an influencer, I'm trying to get my ideas to as many people as possible to try and get them to believe something closer to what I believe.
So
I'm trying to
that's-
get APAC money, but it hasn't worked yet.
you're trying to get them to believe what you believe so that
So, are you talking to me?
yeah, I'm asking you to
Yeah.
complete that sentence.
I'm trying to get them to believe what I believe, so they can vote for better people.
So that your goals can be accomplished, right?
Yeah.
Winning is winning here, right?
But that's a different part of the game. You understand? There's communications people, and then there's strategy people. Like on a campaign, you've got people that are concerned with, where should we be going? Who should we be talking to? And then there's people that are concerned with the message. Whenever I'm thinking about what I'm trying to do on the internet, whenever I'm talking about politics, is I'm trying to articulate a better vision of liberalism, from my perspective. And
so that ideally it can take power and take hold.
Yeah, but I'm not I just don't conceive of what I'm trying to do primarily as convincing the Democrats to adopt a particular electoral strategy. That's just not what I conceive of myself doing. I'm trying to convince people to believe a certain thing. And I think these are two different things.
I think to shortcut this, I think different people can have different roles along like any particular pipeline. Like people who work at a think tank aren't necessarily trying to get people to vote a certain way, or people that are activists might not be trying to get people to support a particular candidate or party. Like everybody can have a different thing. It might be that you envision yourself as being somebody who just argues along ideological lines or argues, in favor of a particular political line of thought. That's fine. I don't
There's
think
people.
everybody
So
at the end of the
a
day
good
has to be like,
example.
I'm trying to get people to vote for somebody, right? I think that's okay.
The Bulwark, the media outlet. This is a different example, but they are basically a replacement for like cable news, right? The framing that they use, the types of titles they use, the fact that they cover like breaking news, multiple videos a day. They're basically a replacement for cable news. That's fine. That's not the kind of content that I want to make. right? That's not the role that I see myself being as valuable in, and so I don't do that. And it's the same when it comes to like talking about electoral strategy. Frankly, I don't have the information that a DNC operative with, paid internal polling has to make these kinds of assessments. And so what I'm trying to do whenever I'm being a political influencer, as pretentious as that sounds, is to put out a certain vision of what I think liberalism should be like and get people to adopt it. And I feel like that involves talking to as wide an audience as possible.
And I'll say this, Hassan Piker, if you're listening, platforming Ryan Getty on your stream will piss off Destiny and Dan and Mr. Boone and every other liberal, and they would really hate it if he came on, so don't do it.
$10 from Fellrunner. Hypothetical. Dems select...
Wait, hold on. Wait, real quick. Sorry, but you acknowledge Hassan would never platform Ryan Getty, right?
No, I know he won't. That's the joke.
Okay. Just making sure you understand it.
Dems select a candidate that is not sufficiently anti-Zionist enough for Hassan in 2028. Does he take his viewers to a third party? What if that ensures a MAGA win?
I don't think he'll say that, but I don't think he'll give support for the candidate that he doesn't like, and he'll just be like, well, I don't know. You guys can do what you want.
Okay. $5 from Audacity. Mamdani took Hassan's influence and then dipped after he won. Why can't you guys figure out how to replicate this?
That's what I said. I think that's what I said was the optimal strategy for dealing with him for a politician. I think if you're a lefty politician that feels like you need to go on Hassan.
I think you have to be like brown and like attractive to deal with Hassan and not get steamrolled.
I think for Mamdani, it helps that one, he had a strong set of positive policy positions in and of himself. He was already running an incredibly strong campaign. Number one. Number two, his association with Hassan was very, very, very loose.
I agree with both those points.
Yeah. And then three, one of the most important points is that he was running in a very, 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 very blue place. We're talking mayor of New York City, and then his opponent was fucking Cuomo and some crazy dude who apparently got stabbed at one time in a taxi by a mob boss.
Yes, sir.
He has a lot of cats, though. He has a lot of
cats.
cats.
I think it's worth pointing out that the Democrats in that specific election did the thing that lefties do often, which is instead of endorsing blue no matter who, they ran independently. And I think Cuomo did not get nearly enough shit. Because imagine if Bernie Sanders decided to stay in the race and fucking run as an independent in 2016 or something. I think that's pretty reprehensible.
Yeah, I mean, Cuomo, but I mean, it's a mayoral race, and I think lefties were looking around the country, and they were expecting senators and people to start endorsing people in the primary for the New York City race, which was kind of weird. But lefties just think that everybody has to get behind them all the time, no matter what.
Yeah, asking at the national
Cuomo
stage to endorse it for New York City. But I'm talking about Cuomo saying, fuck you, I don't care that I lost the Democratic primary, I'm going to try to bleed off votes from the Democratic
side. Yeah, I mean, you didn't say that, but Cuomo, Cuomo's reputation was torched, right? Wasn't Cuomo almost bending fucking pro-Republican or something at the end of that? I think Cuomo's reputation in the Democratic Party is fucking torched.
I think he was maybe the Republican vote in that, honestly.
Thank God. I think they ought to have endorsed Mamdani, and most of them did, to be fair. I think people are a little too hard on this. The national chair of the DNC endorsed Mamdani after he won the primary, which is what everyone ought to have done. And I criticize the people in New York City, especially, that did not. I think that's pretty silly. But I think people give the Democrats a little bit too hard of a time on that one. The national chair of the DNC did endorse Mamdani immediately after he won the primary.
Okay. $5 from General Grievous. Soy Pill, don't be disingenuous. Perzeka's progressive victory put Dylan on the ass end of their stream. They didn't platform him in any main panels. He got garbage time at the end.
I don't think that was the intention to just stick him in the end when no one was watching. I think they literally gave him an exclusive panel. But I mean, if you know some internal stuff about actually they did that so no one would watch, maybe. I don't think so.
Exclusive panel. I love.
Yeah, he was supposed to be on with me and someone else at a certain point, and they decided.
I've ever heard of my entire life.
No, I'm serious. My understanding of the reason that they did this, Destiny, was that it was hey, this is the guy who's super knowledgeable about this, and we're going to have him do the Ukraine panel, and that's why I was moved off of that. But maybe I don't know. Maybe you know something I don't.
I have no idea. £5 from Riz. What the fuck? Marlow is right about tankies only being movable on social issues. They absolutely are not movable on foreign policy and haven't been since Stalin.
Wait, no, I need to say one more thing about that. The idea that's wow, we need to stick him. We need to stick him at the end so that no one watches. Why would they have him on at all? This is ridiculous.
Jackson? Yes, I do. No. We're gonna let you be on stage on your own exclusively. Why would you want to share a stage with them?
If they weren't wanted to subvert Ukraine at all and say why are we letting this guy on? Why did they have him on the panel?
Because it was a bid for cheap
The
liberal
token- the
whatever.
token
Yeah, it was a
Ukraine
token
lover.
thing.
It was
I
token.
might,
I don't
I might
understand the
agree with you.
PV stuff.
I might agree with you if their stream would have been the main stream for viewership, but it wasn't. Everybody was still streaming on their own. The PV stream had like 200 or 300 people. All the main viewership was gone because Hassan and everybody else fucking dipped, and then they threw him on with the Josie whatever person for a 40-minute thing.
It is.
Yeah, they did, right? They did. Wait. They did throw him on at the end with no other large people, right? That is what happened, right? He was at the
Dylan
very
is
end.
the
and
large
with no-
person at the Ukraine part. That's the point.
Okay.
It is.
Yeah, it's just like
it is
it's like
funny.
yeah,
Calling-
they want to subvert the Ukraine movement, but they also want to lend credence to it. But also they threw him on at the end, but also they had him on at all. Like this seems ridiculous.
Someone's
to me.
gonna have to explain the PV lore to me sometime. I feel like I don't know what is happening there at all.
It's basically a microcosm of everything that we're talking about now, believe it or not. But yeah.
Yeah, it's a good example, but that's another day. $10 from It's Fishy. The viewers Ryan is talking about are not essential compared to swing voters, who we can make them blue voters. We have the chance to get swing voters and show that the Dem Party has their back. I don't know if you want to talk to that or not.
I think you can do both. I don't think that there's anything mutually exclusive about influencers trying to win over Hassan viewers with politicians trying to win over swing voters. I think that's the ideal situation, having that kind of separation. Deniability for the politicians.
The act of doing that dissuades voters you can get. Dissuades seniors, dissuades swing voters. The simple act of trying to do that. Any type of placating you do, it's a net negative. There's no winning. It's just a bad. If you care about winning, it's the wrong thing to do.
I just disagree that the influencers trying to win over Hassan voters are what the swing voters care about. The people who are notoriously ideologically incoherent, people who don't pay attention to politics very much, mostly.
You're right. They don't care. All they know is they see on Fox News, hey, this guy's hanging out with a dude who said America deserved 9/11. You're
if
right.
Fox News wants to put me on...
winning is winning. The ends are all that matter. You can't be here like, well, if that happens, I mean, that sucks. That is what's going to happen. Live in the reality we're in. We got to do it. We can't imagine.
I'm sorry. The reality that we're in, the debate I thought was, should liberals engage with Hassan? And then the
Only
debate
adversarial.
shifted.
Yeah.
And then the debate shifted to, well, actually, we're going to complain about Hassan not platforming liberals for the whole debate. And so there's the reason why I was asking for something actionable is because I don't really know, like if we're in the situation where Hassan is not gonna, platform smaller liberals or whatever, there's nothing we can do about that, and we're kind of just talking about nothing. But I mean,
if Hassan platforms liberals, I could give a fuck.
That's the debate. That's what the debate is.
The debate is on if Hassan should platform liberals.
The debate is on if liberals should engage with Hassan. That was my understanding.
Okay, engage meaning like should we have
How should we
adversarial?
engage?
Yeah, that's a very different thing. We should like not have like friendly like Joe Rogan like, hey, what's up, dude? Yeah, hey man, so fucking what do you think of that outfit? That was crazy, huh? No, not that. No, but more like holding to account. So hey, like when October 7th happened, you had a lot of parachutes going by in your chat, huh? That was pretty wild. What's going on with that? Those are the types of things. Sure, engage that way.
Okay.
$5 from Soypill's favorite, Tallybots. The Hassan Crooked Con panel was only positive because Tim pushed back. Outside of that, it was a very bad look to legitimize him in that way. Thank you for $5.
I don't know. I don't know if Tally's going to vote for the Democrat in the general. She might subvert it, and I think you should stop talking to her, unless you're only opposing her.
$10 from It's Fishy to say, continued, those swing voters will be turned off by Hassan. We need to swing max and expel Hassan to stop him for poisoning a brand at a time when we need to solidify swing voters to our side. Thank you for the $10. $20 from Kingler. Counterpoints isn't looking to supplant the Democratic Party, which is explicitly the lefty goal.
He is absolutely, isn't he? He's literally part of the Republican coalition. He wants the Democrats to fail. He wants J.D. Vance. He wants John McCain. He wants any Republican to win and have the Democrats have no power. That's his goal. But I'm willing to work with that person to make anti-Trump stuff, just like the fucking Lincoln Project people.
$10 from 1980 Rules. Soypill, is your role the... Oh, I already read that role, sorry. $5 from Soyaddle. Does Hassan's deception justify making the DNC undemocratic and freezing him out?
I don't think he should be frozen out.
Not
I think that
undemocratic.
the people should just not want him there in the first place.
And also, yeah, if you're going to go to the DNC, and I think was the plan not to like subvert the DNC at the DNC in a time when they need support, like, yeah, that's a completely legitimate reason to cut this person out of the event.
$10 from Adam Defunded. It seems there's a lack of clarity in the discussion about Hassan. The main issue is whether we're focusing on classical liberalism or the post-liberal ideas that arose over a century ago. Even $10. $10 from Robert Paulson. Wick TV. You gave a whole evening to Kung Fu Joe, the guy that says it's okay to hit your wife and you don't need consent. Bang her. Your argument for not platforming certain people is a bit ironic, yeah? Once again, to answer this, my argument isn't don't platform people. My argument is platform them correctly. The
So,
Kung
like,
Fu
make them
Joe
your
thing
co-host
was
on a podcast?
Everyone debated him. I brought people on to debate him all night, right?
Responsibly.
Why do you have a co-host that you fundamentally disagree with their political movement who is subverting the Democrats and
Because
doesn't
it's
want the
okay to
Democrats to
talk
win?
to these people, but I would never say that they are
Wait,
part of
not
our
adversarially?
coalition.
Just have a friendly conversation about things you agree on?
And it's on, if we're talking about Talibots,
Mm-hmm.
yes,
about
I think it's
Prankai?
okay because
It is okay
Talibots
to
is
have-
fundamentally a different thing than Hassan is.
Why is one okay and the other not?
Why is Hassan okay, but Fuente's not?
Why is it okay to have
Because
a
there are
friendly
different
conversation about things
values
you
and
agree
different
with?
people. Your same answer, buddy, right?
Her values are,
different
I don't want the
values with
Democrats to
different
win, and I'll
people,
vote
and
for
there's
Trump,
different
and I'll vote
types
for
of
anyone that'll make the
conversations.
Democrats lose, right?
I think it's
By the way,
okay.
I think this is okay, so long as you make your audience aware of what her actual goals are and don't let her spread that.
She makes
So-
the people aware. The way you know that what her goals are is because she tells you.
Okay. Well, I think
That-
as
that's
long
the-
as
I
you're
think that's
informing
the-
your audience about Hassan, which I agree.
Again,
with the
I
messaging you
I
did,
invited
description
Hassan
is
onto this
fine.
panel. Like,
Yeah.
you guys keep doing this straw man, and it's kind of annoying where you say, well, are we talking about Hassan being platformed? No, we're talking about how we engage with him, how we platform him. And yes, one of the options is, should we platform him at all? But I think everyone here agrees that there is some level of acceptable platforming or acceptable engagement that is fine. It's just, what are our lines, where and how? And that's where I think the discussion is. That's, to me, it's interesting. So, okay. I have to reload because my thing clicked off.
While you're doing that, Destiny, on our last time we talked about this, you said like the majority report people, like they can't be in the line either because they're so Be right back. vehemently pro, like, hey, Biden's a genocider, Kamala's a genocider, even if they are selling their whole audience. Despite this, you need to vote for them. It's better. Is that still the line, or is it the like the
Probably,
masking
I would have to
on
go
and the
back and look
deception?
and see if they ever even like how ardently they even supported Kamala. Like so, like Kyle Kalinske endorsed Jill Stein and didn't really support Kamala in the election.
That's
so
yeah. I think
that was-
yeah, but do you think Kyle Kalinske
Hold
should
on.
be
This
completely
is the next super chat, buddy.
okay?
$50 from Pondering Politics. I've missed
Hey.
most of this and can't pop in the moment, but Hassan aside, where is the panel, specifically Destiny, on Kyle, Kalinske, and Mehdi at this moment? Does he
Hassan
consider
aside
either
is,
of them political allies?
condemn
And if
Hassan
not,
aside.
what would it take for him to consider them such?
Mehdi is the outer perimeter. I have a special place in my heart for my wonderful Islamic. I don't know if he still is Muslim or whatever, but like, and I just accept that they will be brain broken on some foreign policy forever. But Mehdi, there is just no question that Mehdi supports the Democratic Party candidate. He's probably the furthest out person that I know. There's just no question. Kyle Kalinske is an easy out. Like this guy doesn't. He 2024 is just such an easy litmus test. Like it's just such a. It feels like talking about foreign policy today in the United States. Like when I'm trying to seriously analyze like the 10-point plan from Iran. Like I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to say about this. This is the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my entire life. This is like Crayola crayon tier. Like I would have to eat Crayola crayons to even begin to get into the mind of whatever is going on with this. And it's the same when it comes to 2024. If there were serious doubts in your mind about supporting Kamala, you're a deeply unserious political actor who's not worth engaging with in any friendly manner. I think.
I agree with all these criticisms of Kyle, but Kyle is far less radical than Hassan. And do you think that it's possible to platform or work with on the same platform Kyle without being adversarial the whole time?
No, I wouldn't risk it. No.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
$20 from Danimobile, the Bruce. Chorus was a liberal attempt to reach the areas where casual Hassan viewers are, and the leftist media machine came together to destroy it because it was supporting Democrats. Why do we think they will be willing to work with us? $10 from Doom. isn't Soy Pill Hassan writing then, coming on Wick panel to get BTFO'd tantamount to subjecting Hassan tanky fans to proxy debates? I think what they're saying is that aren't you like our proxy Hassan, like our strawman Hassan? I don't know. I guess.
No, I'm fundamentally opposed to Hassan's politics. So
Fair enough. £5 from Riz. What the fuck? Does Soy think his view of Hassan's place among Democrats is conflicted due to largely agreeing with him on Israel, as he said on his show last week?
I don't agree with Hassan's view or characterization of Israel, because while I have plenty of very good reasons to dislike the Israeli project, I think the way that Hassan talks about it is unhinged and like he will literally turn any issue into, and this is why it's an Israel-Palestine debate. So this is like hey, you came to the similar conclusions for the completely wrong reason and have dumb prescriptions. Like
But
it's
in general, though, you would say that you pretty much disagree with Hassan and everything. You're not a fan of the Hassan stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like when Hassan and I, like the agreements that I'll talk about where I'm like, oh, we could bleed off the audience, it seems to me that is Hassan moderating or masking on to get to a point in which we would overlap. It's not his actual views.
Understood.
Okay. $10 from Kingler to say Hassan was just shitting on Kamala at his recent event. LOL. They still call her a genocidal monster.
Pretty cringe.
It is. $5 from Talibots. I love when Soy Pill talks about Israel. It's always embarrassing. Thank you for $5. $10 from Ben.
I would embarrass to be Tali, who's like a gay person who voted for Trump and has no regrets and is able to like sweep for the person who fundamentally hates them and will dick suck Andrew Wilson while he's telling her she's a degenerate loser.
Fun lore fact.
Wait, hold on, wait. Am I allowed to say kill yourself on the stream?
No.
I wouldn't.
Okay, then I won't.
Okay.
Good.
$10.
Will ask, hold on, wait, just checking real quick. I'm sorry, because my inner Nazi has come out over the past few months. Just curious, is Tali a dual citizen?
Tali, are you a dual? I have no idea. Tali, are you a dual citizen? Let it be known. Okay.
Because if so, I get it all.
Are you noticing
everything? I understand. I've noticed. I'm a noticer. Check your APAC funding. Get Anna Kasparian out here and get Tali out. That's what I'm saying.
It's funny because the second highest grossing stream I have ever had was Tali and Soy Pill yelling at each other the whole time, and I made, I think, almost $2,000 that night. It was a great night.
Yeah. Didn't spread the love because you're not a socialist.
$10 from Ben Riley. Pew did a report indicating that even if everyone voted Trump, if everyone voted, Trump would have won by a wider margin. So, doesn't seem like it was the far left, but swing voters.
I haven't seen it.
Cool story,
They
bro.
sound retarded.
I would love to see that.
Yeah,
cool as fuck.
I think that's accurate, but I'm not really sure how to square that with what like the debate. I guess I think that's true.
I don't think that it was the case that like people didn't vote who were far left supporters. Like when it comes to like Bernie Sanders or these far left candidates, I don't remember the numbers, but it's like 90 to 95% of the people that were following them voted for Hillary or Biden in the general. I think the issue is a rhetoric one, to where so much time, like Democrats already have problems for a variety of reasons of having their own policy platform that they can positively champion instead of just constantly responding to attacks from the right. So when the little bit of time we have to talk about anything is then taken over by just relentless conversation of Israel-Palestine, which is an issue, again, that I think we should be winning on anyway. It's very frustrating. I think that was the bigger detriment. Like, if anything cost the election from the left, it was the constant hijacking of every left conversation and turning it into Israel-Palestine and making Democrats a loser on it somehow.
£5 from Pity Only Fools. Wick TV. Has anyone asked or brought up the threat of Hassan and co. ruining the Democrats the same way Tea Party and MAGA ruined the Republicans? This is one of my fears. No? Okay.
Sorry, I was laughing at the food.
Question to you.
Someone asked me they wanted to see my food. I'm sorry.
Oh,
and the question
sure.
wasn't
No,
directed to me.
yes. One of the things that I'm worried about is that what happened to the Republicans, how they were hollowed out basically by MAGA, and their extremists will happen to us. We'll make a deal with the devil and say, hey, we have to kind of give our psychos the mic in order to beat their psychos. And it's like a reciprocal radicalization situation where like each side gets more and more extreme, and it just hollows us out into something that I no longer recognize.
So I want to take this concern seriously because it's a real concern. However, I want to say that the organizational structure like in the Tea Party era is just nowhere near what the left has right now. I think the far left has nothing equivalent to like evangelical church communities. I think the far left has nothing equivalent to like gun shows. I think the far left has just a whole. For a lot of reasons, I'm less worried about a truly like, I don't know, communist style Tea Party, I guess. But I take the concern seriously, and I think it's something to worry about. I just don't think that the organizational structure is there.
I largely agree with that. But
it's not about that. It's about the enemies using the extremist fringes that we have, and then seeing like, hey, look, hung out with this guy.
Yeah, but
that means you guys
that's
love them.
Sort of
That's a slightly
issue, right?
separate question.
$5 from Ove959. Soy pill is so brain broken. Losing issue for Dems the more they talk about trans, genocide, fetishized feminism. I don't know what the last one is, but okay.
Yeah, I call me brain broken, but like throwing out the 2016 buzzwords to talk about something that's completely irrelevant to this panel is kind of funny.
$10 from Anon's Spider. Call me Spider. Why is there no onus on Hassan to meet liberals in the middle? His goal is to take over the party, so why invite the vampire into your house?
There should be an onus, and we should be criticized for this. But if you know he's not going to and still think you can have a utility from him, that's my prescription, is to take that utility, if you can. Again, by the way, just to be clear to everyone arguing on this panel, if you can show me like this is absolutely more detrimental with like a substantial amount of empirical stuff, I'll change my mind. Like,
why? I don't know why you keep saying that when that's literally impossible to demonstrate.
I'm not saying it because I'm like, oh, definitely this is going to happen. And I'm trying to subvert you with a no. It's
like
not.
If I were to ask you, can you show me how they're beneficial, like with absolute stats and anything? You can't show that either, right? You have nothing for that.
If I can show you Hassan got X amount of people from his audience to vote for a candidate that we both agreed with, this would be empirical evidence that he's helping. If
no,
you
it wouldn't
show
be.
me,
We would have to show that a higher percentage of his audience voted that wouldn't have otherwise, that voted for in like a general election.
And,
you're never going to have
that other people.
Wait, if you can't prove it, if you can't prove it in the way that would disprove me, how do you know the opposite is true?
Because you look at the broader events, you look at the environment, you look at what was the movement of all of these people prior to the election. It was all anti-Dem. All of it was anti-Dem.
No. I am aware that Hassan is detrimental to the Dems, especially in the general election. My question is, this is going to happen either way. So how do you know that was worse because you platform him?
I think it was worse because the only reason why these people were so anti-Democrats is because they thought they could get a seat at the Democratic table. That's why they didn't bother protesting the Republicans at all. There were no anti-war, anti-Palestinian genocide protests for Donald Trump, right? It's because they didn't think they would have a seat at the table. I think that if they knew, if the Democratic Party was like, these guys are fucking weirdos, we don't work with these guys, I don't think they would have been anywhere near, well, they might have still tried to do things with the Democratic Party, but they would have had to make actual policy overtures to work with them instead of just trying to corrupt them. The only reason they were able to did as much as they did is because they knew that they were seen as like somehow being on the same team.
Okay, I'm gonna speed run these because I know that
speed run
these a little bit because there's a lot of them, and I know I want to be cognizant of people's times. $10 from Avistal. Soy Pill says, I'm just saying a lot, and it's setting off fifth column fuckhead alarms big time. $5.
What's fifth column?
I don't know.
Fifth column, like a subversive element, as I understand it. I could be wrong. Let me look.
I want to reassure anyone who thinks I'm subversive. At worst, I'm stupid, okay?
We all are, to a certain extent. $5 from Grizz. I think Hassan stinks on ice, but how much do you guys think the internet ignorant Democrat is going to vibe with him? Thank you guys for the stream. You're welcome, and thank you for $5. $5 from Alishness. I was on a
I want to answer that one actually, real quick.
Sure.
Quick. The fact that my like libtarded mom, and she's like, these people, like my parents have TDS, like actual Trump derangement syndrome, bringing it up in completely inopportune times. TDS, liberal resist, Stephen Colbert watchers. Okay, the fact that my mom could be like, why don't you like do what that progressive Hassan does? And I'm like, Mom, how the fuck do you know who that is? Like, I think far more people who don't understand his radical, insane beliefs know about him, and I think far more of those people are winnable. And again, this is just a vibes-based thing, and I'm empirical data for that. But stuff like that leads me to believe that like a vast majority of people that are aware and might hear from him are not people that are fucking commies
Gotcha.
and anti-Semitic.
And
If we're
I
going on
know-
empirical stuff, the overwhelming, like the polling data shows that Hassan is not popular in the Democratic Party, though. I mean, if we're going to appeal to that,
That's also true.
Sure.
Also, there is no such thing as Trump derangement syndrome. There is no amount of too much hatred you can have for him or the people in the
No.
party.
Dan, this is an example I always use. My dad, we're like watching like a movie, and there's
No.
a train in it, and
He
he's
should
like,
be talking
"We'd
more."
have trains like that if Trump wasn't president." I'm just like,
Yeah.
fuck, like,
Yeah, there's no amount of hatred that's too little for Trump.
Okay.
God.
$5 from Alishness. I
I
was on a
agree.
right-wing
That's a good
debate
take.
panel recently, convincing the far-right audience and panelists that we do not associate with Hassan. I get it now. Fuck him. $5 from Rob Red. Soy pilled should now be Hassan pilled. $5 from Ove. Soy pill, you are so bad faith. Wherever you are pressed on the issue. 2 questions down. Oh, I don't know about that. We
How
love
can
soy
I
pill
get
here.
paid to have people shit talk me? This is like, and you're not even getting paid, Soy Pill. Are you getting a
Yeah, I'm
cut of
not.
this?
I'm not. I get 0 of it. I'm helping Wick out. I'm
You
as
should-
little.
We love
I'm
you
as
for it,
little.
man.
I've got the ball in my mouth. I'm getting.
Can you
whipped
guys
and
at least
Wick's
be
jerking
like
off in the
fucking?
corner.
At least Hassan says his podcasts are co-ops. You know, at the very least, I feel you should be
What's
dividing
that
up the
even
revenue.
mean? I saw that. What does that
Oh.
even? How is a podcast a
I'm
co-op?
glad that you asked that question, Steven. Do you want to tell him about our cooperative podcast that we had?
No, but also I'm pretty sure Hassan just like pays people out like rev shares and stuff, and then he calls it a
That-
co-op.
That's exactly what it.
I
What
thought
he
he
does.
didn't pay his editor or something like that. That was like a big.
Well, he
scandal.
gave him-
from a long time ago.
Yeah. Also, the merch is union made, but not union owned. Let's be clear on that front.
Dubious Gal for $5 says, I DM'd you the other day, Wick. I replied to Ryan Grimm about Sarah the other day and got insanely harassed for 2 days by the tankies. I had a guy saying that people should kill me or if they could find my family to kill them. That's what happens when you engage with Hassan. You'll get tons of that. So, just be prepped. $5 from...
He read my tweet disagreeing with him on stream. I'm not saying this doesn't happen, but it's not inevitable like it happens every time. So you can say it's sweeping. I'm not saying his audience is good and he doesn't sick them after people. It's disgusting behavior, but it's not some inevitability because he read my incredibly critical tweet of him on a stream and I did not get a single Hassan snarker in my Twitter DM. Somehow, I probably just got lucky though.
Maybe. $5
Most of
from...
the time, also, I just want to be clear. When I say always and never, I don't actually mean 100.00% of the time on all those things. Usually, I mean most of the timer. So just to be clear on that, right?
My only slight disagreement there was I'm not sure to which. Don't get me wrong, it's worse when he's actively promoting it, and he does. But like, to what extent the level of this like snarkerism and brigading is like unique to that? Yeah. Okay.
I agree. I've driven home drunk like 20 times. I haven't gotten a wreck yet. I don't think it happens every time. I think people exaggerate the fuck out of that.
$5
I think
from
you
Harvey
drive more
Marvey.
carefully when you are drunk because you're more prone to get into an accident. Like I've never driven home 10 miles per hour before unless I'm wasted. So, and I've never gotten into an accident. So
$5 from Harvey Marvey. Everyone on this panel knows or should know the kind of harassment Destiny does towards and directs at Pixie. Dan knows. Moot knows. Wick knows.
crazy.
That's crazy. $5 from Jari. Destiny, my mom watches you on TikTok.
Nice.
That's wholesome.
Tell it a damn me.
$5 from Board to Ready. We lost nothing by working with Liz Cheney. We gave 0 concessions, and Kamala's campaign changed 0%. Hassan's audience demands craziness.
I don't know if that's true. I think there was a portion of the electorate that was not happy with the Liz Cheney, Dick Cheney stuff, but
I don't have any evidence on this, so take this with a big grain of salt. But I knew a lot of like normal liberals who were not fans of this Liz Cheney thing. I mean, I think it's a calculated thing. You might want to create a permission structure for former Republicans to vote Democrat, but I do know it did irritate some libs.
I think this is another issue where I would just argue it's a messaging thing that got captured by the left. Like Liz Cheney was one of like 3 Republicans who had the actual moral backbone to stand up against an out of control and unhinged Trump administration. Between her, Kinzinger, and I would say Pence, like these are people that, like when the time came for them to kind of stand up and do the right thing, she joined that J6 committee and she did a really good job on it. But it explicitly
I totally agree.
We're going to turn into warmongers because there's like a one campaign thing with Liz Cheney, which is ridiculous.
I totally agree. If I was in the Harris campaign, I probably would have done the same thing. But because I think that I would have thought that the calculation, I think the calculation, and I think it probably was this way. You get more sort of former Republicans who needed a permission structure to vote Democrat than you lose steadfast liberals who remember the Bush administration. So like, I don't know.
Snaggy horse for $10. Sorry, you guys need the further left. Saying they can't be on your team like you guys haven't been a step behind, played out, and have no talent in developing political stars, nothing inspiring. We flipped 30 fucking seats. I don't know what you want from us, man. We are winning almost every across the board election. I just don't understand how you think it could be better. But fair.
Their candidates don't win outside of very safe like blue districts.
Yeah. $5 from Ben Riley Spider. What ought to be the liberal position on the Israeli government the DNC should run on?
The issue is that I don't think that people care that much about foreign policy. So any concessions that you make here, I think are like they would be because it's good policy. Like I think that the United States, and I think everybody agrees with this at this point, needs to dramatically reevaluate its relationship with and the toleration of the insanity that Israel has pulled the entire Middle East and our country into. But I mean, the problem is that like if you say that, that wouldn't be enough. Like again, Kamala calling for like a full ceasefire, to figure out what was going on between Gaza and Israel was not enough for anybody on the left. You're never winning votes with a position on Israel-Palestine because most Americans are fundamentally too selfish to give a fuck about anything related to foreign policy. Israel-Palestine is exclusively a wedge issue pushed by lefties who don't give a fuck about USAID or any of the Yemeni children that starved or any other 50 million things that happen in the Middle East. It's just this issue because they can push it as a wedge issue.
But you don't think it would have helped in any way? Like I'm not saying she should have done this, but if Kamala said, "I will end Israel's campaign in Gaza," you think this would have changed no one's mind when they voted?
Nope. No.
Okay.
I don't really think that I don't think the election turned on this issue at all. I think the election turned on inflation, frankly. So, I want the Democratic Party to be less friendly to Israel because I think that would be the correct position to have. But I don't think that the election turned on that issue at all.
Look, I don't think it's the most important thing. It's probably not even the top 5 things, but I don't know how old anyone here is. But if you remember a little doohickey called Coney 2012, a lot of people cared, okay? A lot of people were involved, and they rallied and organized.
$5 from Trenkrum. Don't find it prudent for an organizer, quote unquote, to refer to potential voters as, quote, low information, unquote, and the R word. Marlow, naughty. $5 from Usurp the Chief, or Usurp the Chef. For Soy, at what point would Hassan and co.'s attacks on Dems cross the line for you? If they act the same way this year, will you still work with them?
They've already crossed the line insofar as like this is unacceptable behavior in terms of someone I would ever say this person's good, this person's my ally. But if I'm going to say when can I use them and when can I not, it's all dependent on whether or not I think I get more out of it. Destiny and the crew are convinced that they would lose more, and if that was demonstrated to me, which apparently is unprovable, so I'm not saying that as like a bad faith, like haha, gotcha, you can't prove it's not true, but just like I don't believe or I don't sufficiently see the reason why I couldn't gain more out of it for the people that I care about. But like obviously this person's a piece of shit and it's like sabotaging us in the general. Like that's not okay.
$5 from Arthur Eats Cake. Can Ryan repeat a single argument made from anyone other than himself or Soaphill? Or did he wander in off from the street? Bro is so lost, ye wins.
I wandered in off from the street. That's correct.
Who's ye? Is he a...
He is the dinosaur, bro.
It's an Italian dinosaur.
It's called staying on message.
It's a pedophile.
Exactly.
Alishness for $5. Breaking news, Dink Donk Destiny. Doxed people. It's the first time we're ever hearing of this, ever. Shame on Destiny. Your career is over. No more stream.
I never heard about this.
I've never heard about this either.
I don't know.
Somebody definitely deserved it, so.
Don't dox people, kids. It's wrong. $5 from Protest. Is there any proof these lefties being politically radioactive? Actual empirics? Well, I think we can look at...
I mean, I would say that the entirety... I mean, if you're having marches and protests literally outside of the DNC, I think that's pretty toxic. And when the entire conversation is being driven by... It feels like Israel-Palestine just captured so much of our democratic discourse over the last election cycle.
Well, you keep saying this, but you're also saying it didn't change the vote. Like, is it that bad then?
What am I saying?
You keep saying it is toxic, don't be wrong, but your idea that like this Israel-Palestine thing was like propelled way overblown compared to like what voters actually care about. But then
why did I make the anchor analogy? Why did I make the anchor analogy?
Right, but are you saying that voters did care because the left told them to, and that's why they didn't vote?
I'm saying that the conversation was hijacked and used exclusively on the far left to attack Democrats on Israel-Palestine. So every time the issue was brought up, it was to hurt Democrats, and then we couldn't talk about any of our and then we couldn't talk about what we wanted to do for policy or any of our positions because we were just constantly fighting off attacks on the left and right.
But then this did, to some extent, cost us the election or no?
To some extent, I don't know how to measure it exactly, but yes, it's damaging when you have to constantly talk about an issue that people on the left are bringing up that's only detrimental to you.
But then I find that incongruent with the idea that, like, if they had capitulated to this, which I'm not saying they should have, but like if they did and said, you know what, I'm going to stop Israel unequivocally, like that this wouldn't have helped if it hurt that they didn't.
No, because the capitulation would have killed you because you would have lost the majority. You would have lost way more voters than you would have gained on that.
Okay.
Because old people in the U.S. were still at that point, and even largely today, old people just simp like crazy for Israel.
Yep. $5 from Ben Riley. A new rule. If you don't understand Dedekind piano axioms, you are forbidden from using any STEM metaphors. Okay. $20 from Dunziod. Why are there so many people that are saying debate is bad and that they wouldn't vote for someone who doesn't support M4A in Ryan's chat? Do you disavow these fans, Ryan?
There's people saying that they... In what in my chat?
That they wouldn't vote for someone who doesn't support Medicare for all. And that debate is bad.
I think I think the debate is bad chats might not be so generalized. The Medicare for all chats I have not seen. I've not
just
been
to be
paying
clear,
too
you
much
do have
attention to
people
chat.
in your chat who hate Destiny and hate me, and they're clipping you and they're posting on Twitter. It's coming out.
Well,
on
let's
my
say
timeline.
those messages actually exist. Do you think that's stupid?
So I think what's stupid? Not voting for a
voting
Democrat
blue?
because they
Yeah.
Yeah, that's stupid. Yeah,
Okay, good.
That's
So they're stupid.
Sure.
Thank you.
Good. $2 from American Analog. 2016 Republicans took in MAGA, and that's at Destiny. Okay, so that's what he's telling you. Okay.
What?
Brew Crow, 10 months of membership. Buddy, thank you. Make sure you like the stream and sub if you haven't. Psst. Hassan is a Trojan horse. Let him into the party at your own peril. Fair enough. $5 to Soy Pill and Ryan. This is from 100 over Batman Braun. Hassan supports the CCP, Iran, and terrorists. Who are these Hassan viewers you think you can pull off these positions?
I think if you ask the average Hassan viewer if they support Iran, the CCP, and terrorists, that they would say no. And I don't think they'd be lying, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
You should go in there and ask.
Yeah, $5 from Traceless. The lady is wrong. Destiny is based. To his point, it would be like Gavin Newsom campaigning with Erica Kirk, someone that would completely sabotage. And she might give us a good fireworks show. I don't know. $10 from Captain and the Fireman. For Soy Pill, do you think it's any coincidence that people like that dude with Hassan tattooed on him and other Looney Tunes end up in your chat?
Ogre Boy.
It's not
Ogre
a
Boy.
coincidence. Ogre Boy has a connection with me because I facilitated people yelling at him on Live and Learn, but I'm also tried to explain him in good faith, even though I disagree with pretty much everything he was saying. But I don't think he watches me for my communist sympathies.
Okay. Brew Crow for 5 Wick TV gifted memberships. Thank you. Fancy Tea for $2. Take Jenk. Trump won and he looked right, not left. $5 from Alishness. The thing is, Hassan doesn't care about America. He'll throw a wrench in the political system, laugh at the chaos, and then leave for China. General Grievous, $5. Endorse at a national level for a mayoral candidate when this has never been DNC policy? When Mamdani was uncommitted and refused to endorse Kamala? I don't know if that's last part is true. Is that last part true?
I think that's true, yeah.
$5 from Fallen Skies. Even if we assume all of Hassan's viewers lived in New York and voted, that still wouldn't have been made a meaningful difference in the mayoral race. Okay. $5 from Ben Riley.
So I understand there are salient points. I do think Hassan hurts the Democratic Party by subverting them, especially in the general. But it's so weird that people keep bouncing back and forth with, like, he doesn't make a difference when he endorses, but also he's capable of immense harm. Like, I imagine that there's
I can't believe you still
equal
don't
ways
understand
in
this point.
both.
This is impossible
both
that
ways.
you still don't understand this. Is it?
Could-
I don't know how many other ways I can explain this.
No.
Well, do you
Try
really
one more
not
time.
understand? Wait,
I understand that, one, I think
that
that Hassan can get a significant portion of his audience to vote, and this isn't insignificant.
it's not about voting. I'm saying that the rhetoric has been captured by the far left in a way that is only detrimental to the Democrats. It hurts our ability to campaign for ourselves.
I'm not
But
saying
that doesn't
that's
mean
not
that they're strong enough to win an
true.
election on their own.
I'm
It
also
doesn't
not
mean
saying that I'm not saying he's strong enough to win an election on his own. I'm not saying he doesn't subvert the Democratic Party. I'm saying they always say, like, he's never able to, like, he never moves the needle. It's barely enough when he endorses someone. Like, I feel like he probably gets a fair amount of people to support someone when he endorses them.
If
But
you
also,
endorse, no, if you can endorse a candidate that is unwinnable and you move them from 5 points to 10 points, you're never making that candidate win. But if you're taking 5 points away from somebody who's in a competitive place, you're making them lose. Do the numbers
Sure.
make sense there for you? Okay, then
Yeah,
what don't you
perfectly,
understand
but-
about the? So you can.
well,
you
yeah,
can
but
add,
if he endorses Mamdani, like, and Mamdani
why
is
are you
like,
bringing up
on-
Mamdani? Like this is
Because
like it's
he-
not anything to do with this race.
well, because he endorsed him. What do you mean?
He had nothing to do with Mamdani winning in New York City. This is the mayor of New York election, one of the largest elections in the United States of America. He's running against Cuomo and a crazy mobbed up
He had
dude.
nothing to do with it.
Okay.
He barely swung the needle at all. Why would
I gotta
Mamdani
get
feel all
through this,
beneficial
guys.
to talk to him? Like,
Because he was being
that doesn't-
used to attack him. Because Republicans were using Hassan as an
He could
attack
have
point.
hurt Mamdani. Mamdani could have won bigger. Possible.
Who knows? $5 from Elder Boys. Why is Doobie donating to Soy Pill when Destiny is on the stream? I thought he
Yeah,
told
Doobie.
Wick he wouldn't do that anymore for this channel. I don't know.
I'm refunding all of them right now.
No, take his money. Spend it. Get a nice hat. Okay? $20.
Why are you saying I don't have a nice hat?
Your hat, you can have a nicer hat. Let's just say that.
Okay.
Bye-bye,
Gold plated.
$20 from Dunziod. By the way, at Destiny, there is a JStalk alt and a couple of his Discord members in Getty's chat right now, already poisoning the well. Fair enough.
Crazy.
$20 from Grassroots Hegemon. You cannot equate Talibot. Hassan is a genocide and sexual assault denialist. Talibots is not.
Ask Tali if she thinks Israel's doing a genocide.
Tali, what do you think? $5 from 5556. Primary votes don't matter if commies don't vote in the general for the same candidate. After their dog shit pick loses, why team up with those people? $20 from Odeshara. Why would you want to work with Hassan? He runs MAGA-style disinformation campaigns. For example, to call Gavin Newsom transphobic after his 21 years of pro-LGBTQ policy and legislation. Straight up slander for no reason. $20 from Shaggy Horse. Why are you guys listening to Destiny on this? He knows debate. No shown talent in political strategy, campaign marketing. I mean, he still wears zip-up hoodies. He hasn't even figured out clothing for himself. Sorry, Destiny. Okay.
True.
Look at this guy. Look at his fucking jacket.
Okay, $20 from Grassroots Hegemon. Soy Pill is criticized in this way by voters. That's why they win so much fucking nothing ever. Okay, $20 from Smokey. Obviously, those who think Fuentes viewers are more gettable than Hassan viewers are unhinged. But question for the panel, who is more good faith, Hassan or Fuentes?
Fuentes.
I actually don't know. That's a...
I don't really watch Nick Fuentes.
Okay, Zero Fox.
I only say that because Hassan has a deliberate mask on policy and Fuentes does not appear to have this.
Fair enough. Zero Fox for 11-month membership. What is Hassan supposed to do? Die? No one wants Hassan to die. Okay. 60. I don't even know what those are. What does Soy Pill mean when he says he's against the Israeli project?
I'm gonna be
like
right back. I'm
the
sorry.
idea that you don't want to hear this, Dan. The idea that like the only way to sustain the state of Israel is to ethnically cleanse perpetually. If that's the only way to sustain it, that's what I'm against. Yeah.
Okay. $10 from Protest. Mootin is a regard if he thinks the average Hassan viewer is the one who watches the stream. The average watcher isn't in his chat. They watch YouTube videos and never comment. Mootin, you gotta...
I think
I'm
that's
a
true for
retard, yeah.
most
What
streamers
are you gonna
anyway, right? Like most people lurk, most people don't really
Okay,
engage.
most people
period,
watch
bro.
me live. No one watches me after.
Well, but that's all you do, Wick, is kind of the
Fair
point.
enough.
Like your
Fair
whole platform is that. Also, by the way, Wick, I was watching one of your VODs, and I have to tell you, you can clip out the fucking part at the beginning and make it start when everyone starts talking, and it takes about 2 seconds. You're getting all this money, and you're not putting in the work that is required of you. You're an irresponsible streamer. I'll
Probably
say that.
true. It's probably true. I will take that criticism. You were probably just correct.
And buy YouTube Premium.
Fair enough. $10 from the Shaggy Horse. Wow, Democrats can flip seats during this hideous administration. Wow, what a surprise. Let's act like that's just because of how inspiring Democrats have been and how just popular you guys are. Fools. Well, thank you for the $10. But
I agree with that, Chad. I think a lot of the Democratic popularity right now is fundamentally opposition to how awful Trump is, and not because, like, I think Democrat as a party generically is polling worse than Trump, and that's saying a lot because, like, yeah, we're winning seats, but like, it's not because we have these resounding messages. It's because they suck so bad that we could pretty much do anything right now, and we need something more. It's good that we're winning, but we need more.
Dem's bad. All right, I got it.
Yeah.
No. I'm saying Dem's not good enough. Not Dem's bad. I'm still pro Dem, as much as people like to pay me as otherwise.
Sure.
That's why I'll be on the stream with you tomorrow promoting Dem candidates.
Yeah.
go,
Okay, I'll
baby.
be on that stream too. Well, I don't know if it's going to be the same portion, but they invited me as well. Okay. Last but not least, and this is $5 from Talibots. No, Israel is not committing a genocide, Shandi. Okay. That's your answer.
All right. Well, there we go.
Okay.
All right.
Gang. Why don't we give final outros? Tell people where they can find you. And I want to thank everyone for spending their time with me today. I know it gets heated and we bump fists, but that's just what you get on Wick TV. We're going to start with, well, Dan's not here. We're going to start with Destiny, and we're going to let Ryan actually have the last word. So go ahead, Destiny.
Yeah, I think that the Democratic Party needs to find itself. It needs to build a strong center-left, pro-liberal values platform. We need to show that we can do things like supporting trans rights, even when Republicans are fighting against us. But that doesn't mean it has to be the maximalist 52 pronoun whatever position that like crazies on the internet are saying. I think that we can be strong proponents of civil rights across the planet. That means that we can defend Palestinians against unhinged actions of Israel without saying that the entire state needs to be destroyed and abolished. But if we ever want to like make progress on these positions, the center left needs to start having leaders. It could be people like Gavin Newsom or whatever else, and they need to stop constantly trying to attack these leaders with every single person on the far left and a lot of our center left establishment as well. Watching the New York Times write an article calling Gavin Newsom homophobic is just unbelievable to me. So I hope that the moderate left people can find voices and realize that they don't have to extract those from the far left, and I think we'd all be better off for it on the center left.
Thank you. Marlow, go ahead.
I think that Destiny's absolutely right there, and that if the Democratic Party wants to build an established platform of like classically liberal values, that they should message those values in a granular, hyper-local way. And I'm going to keep pushing this because tankies are able to be won over. We don't have to offend swing voters and independents in order to bring tankies in, but we don't have to court tankies like it's our fucking job either. They live in our neighborhoods, they work in our coffee shops, they'll vote for our city council members, and they can be brought into the electoral process and convinced that it's worth participating in.
Okay. If I missed your super chat, I'll get to it. Just retype it. When I refreshed it, apparently it messed up. But I'm sorry if I missed it. Mooten, please.
If you're not willing to vote blue, no matter who, I'm not going to listen to your voice. On Saturday, Steve's going to be doing Israel-Palestine debates, so tune in for that.
Fun. Boy, Bill, please.
Yeah, I don't want to court tankies. I want to court the normal people that I think a lot of which are the people who watch Hassan that aren't as insane as he is. I'm very open to, not open, I love when people call out all the bullshit that he does. I think he does a lot of shit that harms us. I've beefed with him personally on Twitter about this, and I think that he's actively sabotaging the party. I just don't think it's impossible to sometimes utilize his platform and power to gain power. And if we can, we should, especially if we can make more people aware of his more radical beliefs in doing so. But yeah, I hope the Democrats succeed. Everyone should tune into the stream tomorrow. We're fundraising for more Democratic candidates and canvassing. If you guys want to help out and do things unlike Hassan during the general, please come to that. So.
Oh, and speaking of, apparently one of the super chats I missed was a good on Soy Pill for being a good sport, and everyone should support Digital Ground Game tomorrow. Well, thank you for that.
Thanks.
And well, I guess Dan's not here. Hopefully he gets back. But Ryan,
I can do it for Dan. Go ahead.
Oh, actually, or am I supposed to go? I can't. Was that
yeah,
a
do
joke?
it.
Or
Just
am I
do it
supposed
for Dan real quick.
Oh, okay.
And then
Hey,
Ryan's gonna
everybody,
get the
come
last word,
come over to kick.com/anything else and watch us there. I'm Dan. I need money, so thank you.
$10 from Dan's performance from Captain the Fireman says Dan's performance was amazing tonight, and he farms W's better than anyone, unmatched really. And then Dan Saltman had a great performance tonight and always farming W's. Thank you. Ryan Getty, last word. Go ahead.
Well, thank you so much for having me on, Wick. Thanks so much to everyone for participating. This was a fun time. I really appreciate the opportunity to get some ideas out there. I agree with what Soy Pill said generally. I think if I was to leave people with one final thought, I think unless we believe that there's a way to get people back from the sort of nihilistic anti-politics that I agree is a problem and that I agree comes from the far left. I mean, we got to believe there's some way to get people back from that, or else there's no hope for liberal democracy. So I encourage people to work to think about how to do that. And again, thank you, Wick, for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Look, and I'm gonna be real, like, I will fight you if you're on here if I think you're wrong, but I still think you're great. I love you, and we're no hard feelings, man. Okay, I just want to make sure we're good. Okay. Destiny, do you think the average Hassan viewer supports Iran and Hamas? Anyone else on the panel? What do you think? That's from Ove.
If we're talking about the live stream viewer, absolutely yes. If you're talking about like casual people that might stumble across Instagram and whatnot, probably not.
Nope.
Okay.
But yeah, his average live stream viewer is insane.
Fair enough. I hope I got everyone. If I didn't, I apologize. I still love you. With that.
Okay. I love you guys too. Have fun.
Good night, Dan.
Till
Bye.
tomorrow. Bye.